Welcome back to Pixels and Pints on take 3 of the intro. We're going to be reviewing a whole bunch of pop culture things from movies, TV shows, games, books tonight. I was going to talk about music too, but we'll hold the music for the next time. I'm Dan, one of your hosts tonight, joined by the tech man Peter.
Howdy.
And the beer man Tom.
Sup?
Who was distracted writing his list for later tonight. We're also going to be reviewing some craft beers. I've got all New South Wales ones tonight, I think. And I did my normal thing. I fucked up. I bought 5 beers. Done. I bought 5 beers to pick and choose depending on what I wanted to do tonight. One of them I realized when I got it home and put it in the fridge, I'm like, you know what? Pretty sure I've had this before. Definitely had it before. And the second one I was really excited to have. It was pastry stout from Akasha, and so didn't read the back of the can in the store again, and it's fucking hazelnut.
He's done himself a mischief.
Yeah, I have done myself a mischief. But just lucky Louise likes hazelnut, and she's going to have to drink the fucking pastry stout. I'm really disappointed in that. I was looking forward to trying it, but I definitely made a mistake, and fuck me, I don't know how often I do that on this show, but don't read the fucking can in the store and get here, and I don't like the hops that it's in it, or it's a green hop beer or something. I don't know. Far too often. So, we'll be reviewing beers. I saw both of you had cracked your first one, so do you want to take over for the first, what you've got poured?
Peter's first. Go on, Pete.
Okay. I've got Little Bang Brewing, Geezer Pleaser.
I knew it was going to be Geezer Pleaser when you started doing that fucking voice.
I saw the Union Jack on the can and wondered what it was.
It's an extra special bitter, 4.8%.
Just the title of my memoirs.
Geezer Pleaser.
No, extra special bitter.
Extra special bitter.
I was going to say that could have gone in a totally different direction there, Tom.
Yes,
it's an
extra special bit, an ESB.
Yeah, I'm really struggling not to say that. Right? It's just it's not, doesn't stand out. It doesn't need to stand out. It's got quite a lot of bitterness, as you'd expect out of an ESB. And it's got a bit of malt in it, but
I really was looking forward to. Oh, Pete's got the fucking rave lights going. He's going to give himself a migraine if he doesn't watch out.
It's going to happen every 5 minutes for the entire episode. There's not a damn thing I can do about it.
Oh, God. I was
read Sandstorm.
Yeah.
It was.
I was trying to really find just a nice lager or something that I hadn't, that was just a relatively, and I say this in quotation marks, normal beer to have on the show tonight. And, be fucked if I could find one. Could not find one for the life of me that was available at Quaker Cellars that I was at. Yeah. I would have loved to have grabbed an ESB and had that.
Yeah, look, it doesn't stand out. It doesn't need to, right? It's one of those things.
Sounds like it's pretty true to style.
Yeah, very much.
That's what you want.
Formulaically so.
Yeah, good.
If you wanted an ESB, this is a good one. I personally don't like super bitter beers, so it's probably not something I'd drink more than 1 or 2 of, but it's all right. It's all right.
Got some light maltiness to it. And
yeah, and a shitload of IBU. Actually, I wouldn't say shitload. I wouldn't say a shitload.
No, it shouldn't be that high.
I'm going to...
Middle ground?
Yeah.
Medium-ish? You're going to look it up on Untappd?
I am going to look it up on Untappd, rely on crowdsourcing to provide me with completely factually incorrect information, no doubt. Geezer Pleaser.
It's only if the brewers don't set up
Fill it in.
the Untappd.
Yeah. 30 IBU.
Yeah. Middle bitters.
Yeah, I'm going to give that 4.
I'm fucking jealous of an ESB. How is that? You got fucking beer envy.
I got some awesome shit to try tonight, and I'm really tossing up whether or not I'm gonna end the night having a 4th beer, but only what?
Whenever you say that, it's going to be ending a night on a fucking 11.5% or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's I've got Brick Lane's Trilogy of Fear, and I've checked that I can get any one of the three again. They've still got them in stock. So, and I've got 3 other beers here tonight. So if I want to do a fourth, I've got to pick a 12% fucking Imperial Stout. And I wanted to keep the Trilogy for you guys when we all catch up and play D&D. So, yes, I'm in 2 minds. Anyway, Dan, what are you drinking, mate?
I've got One Drop and the Garden Brewery, the Karnival Imperial Goza. Have someone already done that? I haven't done it.
I think Pete's done that one. I think we did that in a together.
What's
recording.
It called again, mate?
The Karnival.
Carnival.
Imperial Goza.
One drop in
Blueberry.
garden. Yeah.
It rings.
I'm doing great on my beer selection then for tonight's run. Fucking fantastic.
It rings a bell. I just
First beer in.
It's the question is whether or not they've done more than one.
Okay. It wasn't me that had it. I don't think it was me that had it.
Oh, it's Carnival with a K.
Yeah.
When you say Carnival,
You asked me what it was called. You didn't ask. You didn't ask me to spell it.
It's obviously got the guy from Mortal Kombat behind it.
What?
It's spelled with a K.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Oh, okay.
That was terrible. And yes,
No,
we did
it wasn't terrible. It was very true. You fuckers just didn't get it.
Yes. We have tried this before in episode 6 this season.
Well, I'll shut the fuck up.
No, please.
Oh, was that the one?
Tell us what you thought.
Maybe that was it.
It can't be that old because no, this must be new. When was episode 6?
I'm just looking it up now. I knew you were going to ask me another question. I had to fucking Google. We're really not organised tonight, are we?
I am. I've written freaking notes on my Dune topic.
I love that.
I even did some research earlier.
As I was saying, we're not organised. My lights start fucking flashing me again. It's like,
and I put lights up. How much more organised do you want the least organised one to be?
True, and it was a remote episode.
Episode 6 was the 24th of April.
Yeah,
okay. So this is a new batch because this was canned on the 12th of the 5th.
Unless it was a different season.
No, it was around April.
There we go.
So this is a new batch. Must be a new batch.
Okay. Yeah, you'd hope so. Is it still super sweet for a Goza?
No, actually, it's not too bad. There is a little bit of sweetness there. I don't think it's over the top in any way, shape, or form. I haven't read the back of it.
7.4%. Dan.
No, yeah. So it's definitely a different batch. This is 7.2.
Oh,
this is definitely a new batch. There you go. I don't feel like I've fucked up so badly now.
Well,
so revisiting a new batch from a different person.
I don't know, Dan, because I've found that Untapped has been incorrect compared to the cans before. So
fair enough. I thought that was your comment on it.
No,
the notes from the run sheet or something like that.
No,
definitely not that organised, especially not back then.
So what do you think of the beer, though, Dan?
It's got a load of watermelon in it. It's like heaps of watermelon. It actually smells more like and tastes like I was trying to work out what part of the watermelon it actually tastes like. It actually tastes like the white bit that's just before the skin. Now it's got the watermelon. The red part has that distinct
the rind?
Sweet. Yeah, it's and it has a little bit of that, but it's more. It's very. I dared to use the word pungent watermelon character. It's a really nice color. It is a really quite a pinky watermelon color in real life, in true to form. It's not very tart. Goza, I would have expected a little bit of tartness to it. It's fairly dry, and is I don't know whether somebody who's not used to face puckering sours would call it tart at all, but I wouldn't call it tart in any way, shape, or form. And there's a little bit of back end salt on it. The salt's what's lingering around on my palate now. It's not overpowering or anything like that. It's just what's there. The blueberry's very subdued. The watermelon, that rindy watermelon. Is it rind? Is that what you would call it? what? I don't know what that part of a watermelon is. The white bit?
Yep.
No?
Yep, that's what it's called.
It is it? There you go.
Well, if it's not, I'm saying it is, so.
You can just tell from your body language, Tom. I declare that this is true. Fair enough.
Planting the flag in the ground on that one.
Do you want to hear what I said last time from our Untapped review? Because it's very similar. It does exactly what it says on the can, which is I'm full of awesome. Very sweet for a goza, assumed from the blueberries. Huge amounts of watermelon, huge as in all caps, and nicely balanced with salt water. Amazingly well hidden ABV too.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Yeah, the ABV for 7.2 is not burning, especially in a lighter styled beer that's got no sort of hop background and no malt background there to balance it out. It's pretty well balanced.
Yeah, cool. Out of 5?
3.5.
Cool.
I just marking it down for the tartness.
Yeah, it just goes to show how subjective ratings are. I gave it a 4.5, and we described the beer the same way. So that the difference is purely our personal tastes.
Well, also, and just going by style, like if we were judging that, that'd probably get a silver medal, but it wouldn't get a gold because it's not an exemplary
example of the style.
Oh, example of the style, exactly. So it's very good, but not amazing.
Yep, makes sense.
And actually, I just poured a little bit more in the glass from the can, and it went quite a bit more blueberry purple. Yeah, cloudy as well. But it
might have settled on the bottom of the can.
It must have. I don't know whether we're gonna. I'm really testing the abilities of this right over my fucking keyboard too.
I was just going to say that. Oh yeah, that is very cloudy.
Yeah. Thomas?
Well, little fun fact for everyone listening out there. Apparently, watermelon rind, research shows that it may help men with mild to moderate erectile dysfunction. So,
there you go.
Eat your watermelon rind.
And all this time, my mum told us kids growing up not to eat it because it'd make us feel sick.
Nah, eat it.
I'm not really sure why
she was just encouraging erectile dysfunction in your later life, Peter, and she was damn well didn't want the grandchildren around at those stages. So she's like, mate, these little buggers limp as fuck, and then no grandkids running around.
I knew as soon as I shared the story that I shouldn't have shared the story.
No tumescence or engorging for young Peter.
What?
Wow, this is going off the rails real quick.
Talk about your Horsehead Brewing fucking beer.
Hey, I get the reference. Yes, I am drinking the Bojak Brewing Before Dark Munich Dunkel. This is a really cool can because it's slightly raised where all the design
embossed,
is on the
is it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Is it a label or a printed can?
Printed and then like embossed on everything on it is embossed. It's very...
Wow.
Very nice. It's like
I like to touch the can.
I've got to say, I bought a beer as well because the label felt nice, so I'll get that out later.
It's 5%.
Crazy
it pours a lovely, deep brown. It's notes of chocolate malt. It's still quite light. It's very, very good. I'm very impressed. I do love a dark lager. And there's nothing that's been added. It is true to style. Just a good solid dark malty lager. And I'm going to chuck it a 5. Well done, Bojak.
Wow,
they are from Victoria as well. I didn't know where
I've not heard of the brewery actually.
Dandenong, Victoria.
Bojak
Brewing. I've had a few of their beers, but this was actually bought this on the way home from Mum's. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just need to point out the sediment in that can is much more salty than what the top of the can was. That's like quite a lot of salt.
That's
like
interesting.
So much so I'm not sure I'm going to be able to actually finish all of that.
Salt shouldn't settle in a solution unless it's saturated the solution.
Unless it's attaching to the yeast molecules or something that are in the can.
Yeah. Okay. That is a possible explanation because I ain't got any others.
But
Salinity is one of those things that it's uniform across the body.
It's definitely not in this one.
Well, that sucks because this is delicious.
Yeah, you two have got, and I say this in quotation marks again, normal beers, which is what I fucking wanted tonight. I just wanted something calm. Like, I've barely had any beers for the last, 3 weeks or something like that. So I just wanted to ease myself in with, like, something just
calm, collected, and together.
Exactly. And I've started myself on a fucking blueberry and watermelon Imperial Goza. Anyway.
Those crazy kids.
My next beer's going to kick me in the teeth too. So I'm right there with you. Shall we get into some news?
Let's do it.
We interrupt this broadcast with some breaking news from the front.
Let's do it. And we don't have a marker button, so no C-bombs for this. We're trying a new recording app because Pete's gotten the shits with the old one, which means this episode may never see the light of day. We just don't know. Oh, and the fucking raving lights are going to drive me nuts.
You should add some really nice add some nice storm cloud ambience in the background, like under the thing. So pretend there's a thunderstorm where you are, and it's nice and calm where we are.
Just add some thunder sound effects every time it flashes.
I can flick the lights that I've got and make it look like it's happening here too. So
speaking of flashes, Ezra Miller's in the news yet again. This time he's in trouble for felony burglary.
He stole a bottle of booze.
And child services.
Who's made how much money, and he has to steal a bottle of booze from someone's house.
And child services are currently in the process of trying to remove 3 children from his farm for their own protection.
Hi, Michael Jackson, point 2.
Fuck me. Like,
I don't know what to
gets fucking wilder and wilder, doesn't it?
So Warner Brothers have apparently said that they're considering 3 different options for what to do about the Flash movie now. Option 1, Ezra goes and seeks help. He gives a tell-all interview about explaining his recent behavior as best he can. He stays out of negative press, and he does limited press for the movie. Option 2, he doesn't cooperate with them at all. Now, mind you, in between arrests over the last 6 months, he's been back for reshoots. So this is all happening concurrently. So option 2, he doesn't give an interview, or his explanation isn't good enough, or he keeps getting himself in trouble. They might release the film anyway and just not feature him very heavily in any of the marketing material. He wouldn't be a part of the publicity, and he certainly wouldn't be reprising the role for any future movies. And the third option that they are very seriously considering right now is cancelling a $200 million movie and just not releasing it at all. Apparently, he plays more than one character, which makes sense given its Flashpoint.
Multiple flashes, yeah.
And he's in practically every scene in the movie. So, CGIing out his face and replacing it's apparently just not viable. You may as well start again. So, and they're saying these are the 3 options we're looking at, whilst Child Protective Services are removing 3 kids from his farm. The fuck?
Allegedly.
I mean,
let's just say that, shall we?
Sure.
I mean,
allegedly. I've misgendered him about 6 times in the last 5 minutes, but we'll worry about the alleged crimes.
I did see someone post a thing being like that they should replace him with the Grant Gustin who did the Flash TV series.
Yeah,
like that'd be nice. Like that guy's done
Grant
nothing
Gustin's
wrong. And
Grant Gustin's a dude.
Yeah.
He's a dude too. Like if you look at any of his, because I got right into the Flash when it was first released, the first few seasons, along with Arrow. His stuff on social media as the actor rather than as the character. He's just a dude. Like he's just a genuine down to earth kind of dude. So he's likable enough. Certainly doesn't strike me as someone who molests kids. So.
No. And then the other thing I saw, which made me laugh when you brought it up, was someone posting their 3 favorite Predator films, and it was Prey, Predator 1, and then The Flash. And it was just...
Oh, that's so bad. We shouldn't be laughing.
Great chuckle, though.
Really shouldn't be laughing, but that's the show that you're watching, folks.
Yeah, well, jeez, fuck me. I mean, I guess time will tell.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, surely Warner Brothers has got a like.
Well, it's
even
Warner
if they
Brothers. Warner Brothers Discovery now, after their merger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And they've actually been coming in and like cleaning slate because they cancelled that Batgirl film.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a
and-
damn shame. But
Yeah, and that got pretty fucking wiped across the press. That was a pretty bold move to scrap it because they'd essentially like they'd all but finished it. I'm pretty sure from what they were saying.
from what I understand, yeah.
Yeah, and then but there's a bunch of other stuff they've just been cancelling the front center that was planned to come out.
Yep.
And then of course they went and said that they want to do a 10-year plan.
Well, and they're currently looking for a showrunner that will a universe runner that will be the equivalent of a Kevin Feige, and the media was spitballing the idea of the guy that ran the Arrowverse. But if they brought him on board to do that, then he'd have to divorce himself from the overacted, overdramatic teen drama that is the Arrowverse, because it's too melodramatic for a fucking DC cinematic universe.
Soap opera.
Yes, yes. And
What happened to Jim Lee? I thought Jim Lee was being put in charge of DC film, TV, and film, and that was years ago, and we never.
I think he got sacked.
Jim Lee.
They've-
You reckon?
They've sacked a couple of DC EU kind of showrunners or universe runners.
Nope,
They-
I'm going to put myself on mute so you can't hear my clicky clacky keyboard.
No, he's
Okay.
still the chief creative officer of DC and publisher for the company.
For which company?
DC.
Okay, but so that's comic books, that's graphic novels, that's cartoons, that's movies, right?
Yeah.
That's not the same as Feige.
No,
Feige doesn't run Marvel. He just runs
No.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
but he still works for the companies, is what I was more saying. He hadn't been fired from DC. He got fired from Marvel.
No, I didn't.
Oh, he left Marvel.
I didn't mean that he got sacked from, like, you know, your shit, get out. I didn't. That's not what I meant. I just meant that he wasn't running DCEU.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Hogwarts Legacy. The fuck?
Hogwarts Legacy is the game that's set in the Harry Potter universe, set in the 1800s, and
Okay.
you get to play as a fifth-year student. He's got some kind of like elder. Let's put it down to it's basically the Harry Potter version of Siri. He's got elder blood.
Is
power.
Ezra Miller in it? Sorry.
No.
He's the big bad.
Yeah. No. So it's and you.
Well, what?
get-
It was in fucking Fantastic Beasts.
Yeah.
Oh, no, he was. I know, they can't win, can they? They had Johnny Depp and they had to get rid of him.
Yeah. Fuck.
Then they had Ezra.
but it looks
fucking
good.
creepy.
It's an open world action RPG. You get to actually go run around the school and surrounding
It's got-
areas and cast spells and do all the it's a full on game. But they've been saying it's second or last quarter 2022, and they've delayed it again. But they've finally given an actual release date, which is the 10th of February 23. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm definitely.
It's got to be.
playing it when it comes
It's
out.
got to be better than the fucking VR game they released, where it had everyone looking like Doofy sitting in their living room waving. Fucking. Anyway,
But yeah, so that was brought to the attention the other day. And yeah, I'm keen to play it, so I'll definitely get around it. You should watch the trailer; it looks good.
yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, I'm not a Harry Potter fan at all. I mean, I've bagged the movies many a times on this podcast.
On this
but-
cast of pods, I could see you were looking for.
Yeah, some way of doing it, saying it. But yeah, I'll play this. It just looks fun. It looks like just all the best quirky bits of finding secret doors and hidden bits and pieces around and going on that sort of adventure. Yeah, looks fun.
Cool.
There's the I don't know if you guys saw this, but the PlayStation Backbone mobile controller.
No.
Look it up. It's so
I'm
you basically-
looking it up.
It's like a it looks like a Switch almost, but instead of putting the Switch screen in there,
yes.
you slide your iPhone in.
It's but
and
it's
then
not
you
a.
can-
It's not an official. Oh, fuck me with those lights. I'm going to punch it. It's not an official product though, is it? It's not a Sony manufactured product.
No, but it's
third party.
I think it is third party, but it's PlayStation are now going, this is like the official mobile controller. It's already been released in Australia, so you can actually get it. Basically, it runs off using the remote play function on your PS5. But
Never tried doing that. I always thought that was a great idea, and I did do it when I was married. Back in the day when I was married, my fourth wife, I had a PSP.
Yep.
I can't remember which one was. I had two PlayStation Portables. I think one was the Vita and one was just called the PSP, and I can't remember which order they went in. But
PSP was first, the Vita was second.
Right. So I had a Vita with remote play on the PlayStation 4, and it was brilliant because if the wife was watching TV, I could switch from, like, if she was kicking me off the PlayStation to go to watch something on TV, I could just switch to my mobile or to the PSP and walk away and keep playing. It's fucking great. So I imagine for those of us who have significant others, you can carry on playing, which is cool.
Yeah. So it's iPhone only at the moment. They haven't released an Android version.
What's going to happen next month when Apple announces that
they're going USB-C?
Yeah, due to the EU laws, they're going to have to change the Lightning adapter to USB-C.
Well, hopefully by then they'll be able to. They'll be able to plug into an Android, which uses USB-C. But yeah, looks good. But definitely for that option of someone else wants to use the TV, or you don't want to pause and you want to keep playing while you go take a shit. There you go. Just plug in your phone and
the thought had wandered. The thought had danced across my mind. And I thought I'd just let it go into the ether.
No, I cannot. I cannot. Absolutely cannot. Has to.
Must not.
Saints Row is, as we talked about the previous episodes, coming out soon, and Moondog have released a beer to go along with it.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's called the Juicy Pale. It's a Juicy Pale called Keep It Strange Santo, and so they've released this along with the release of the game, which is pretty soon.
I presume it's not officially licensed.
It's got the official artwork on it, so it'd probably be with who does that's Ubisoft? No. Who does Saints Row?
If it's Ubisoft, then it's definitely not officially licensed. Those guys are fucked for the stuff like that.
But this is not the first time Moondog's done this.
It's also not the first time I've bought a beer that's got what is a complete and utter rip-off of licensable IP, and they didn't pay for it. Like, I've got 4 or 5 Star Wars beers that have been released with full-blown Stormtrooper helmets on it. And
oh, yeah.
So,
but yeah, they did this for...
I don't know why you're
Cyberpunk.
smirking, Dan.
Moondog did a Cyberpunk beer when that was being released.
Okay.
Yeah. It was cool. It was with the...
Was it licensed?
Ask Moondog?
Why did you bring it up then? If you're adding nothing additional to the conversation.
I was definitely
other than they've done it before.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Moondog obviously are the go-to for video game developers to brew a beer with.
That makes it sound like it's even less likely they paid for the licensing.
Nah, surely they did. We'll find out.
We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. We'll get them on the podcast.
Love them. Yeah, but anyway, I'll hunt a can down and give it a try. They always make a good pale.
Yeah. Well, Moondog make good beer, full stop. So.
That's true. That is very true. And then last little bit of news, we've got the Gamescom is coming up. They've announced the dates for streams. It's about 10 days away. So the opening night, if you wanted to watch it live, it's going to be streamed at 4 a.m. on Wednesday, the 24th of August. Why not? Some people like to get up that early to watch things.
My body clock's been that broken, I'll probably be awake for it. I've been going to bed at, falling asleep at 9:30 and getting up at 5 or 4:30, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Ugh, yucky.
Yeah.
And then the second show that I thought was worth is the Games Radar. They've got a future games showcase, which is the next day on the Thursday, the August 25th at 4 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Then they've got 2 more days, but one was Xbox focused, so who gives a flying fuck about that? And the other one they're doing, which I thought was weird, but kind of cool, is they're doing they've obviously having a live metal concert where they're having the event, and it's got some pretty good acts in it, but they're going to live stream that too, and I think that's on the Friday morning. So if you really want to start your day with a bang, put your noise cancelling headphones on, turn it up to full, and it's better than a double
Listen to some
espresso shot of coffee.
Rammstein.
Yeah. No, I think that's one I saw. Was they definitely got Trivium playing. They got a couple of others that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that
Cool.
yeah, but I'd definitely be just like, I guess I know what I'm listening to at the brewery on that Friday. Won't be watching it live, but yeah. But that's about it. Newscast over.
Which, you just triggered a memory. I'm not going to do this as a mini review for the podcast, but if you haven't watched the Woodstock '99 Netflix mini documentary, documentary mini series, fucking hell, man! I had no idea how bad that thing got.
Yeah, right.
I knew they did a Woodstock '99, but I didn't know they had full on fucking riots and just how fucking hardcore it got. So it was quite the eye opener.
Got wild.
And how much of it was not as a result of, but was encouraged actively by the front men from some pretty big bands. They were just being dicks.
They weren't. They were just being rock stars. They were just encouraging things. They didn't know how bad it got out there. There's no way that Jonathan Davies would have condoned 3/4 of the shit that was going on if he'd known. He was just being a rock star. And
it's interesting you said Jonathan Davies. He's not actually who came to mind, but
Fred Durst and Jonathan Davies are the ones that they blame for it all.
Well, yes, but if you watch the footage, they actually pull Fred Durst aside and say, "Can you fucking try and calm him down a bit?" And he goes out there and he just fucking riles him right up. But again, it's not his fault, right? Like they threw. The situation was a powder keg. It was going to go off at some point anyway. They're going to tell someone in that position at that point in his life and his career, just go down and get everybody to calm down. And he's like, fuck no, my job is to get everybody worked up. There's no way he knew how bad it was out there. And he really got crucified at the time for it. I very much remember that as being one of the big things. And that really was the start of the end for Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit. And everything went downhill from there on out because a lot of shit got blamed on him for that. It came up in the docuseries, but it wasn't a big, it wasn't all blamed on him by any stretch of the imagination.
But after that, there was a lot of stuff that continued on after that event that he was and he got really quite badly ostracized even in the nu metal community of bands and things like that. And that's what really started their downfall and really tipped him over the edge.
I don't think that's at all warranted. I mean, having seen what they the footage that they showed on the docuseries, you don't know how much more footage they had. That's completely unfair to indict him for that situation because, there were 13-year-old girls getting raped at that fucking concert. That had nothing to do with anything going out on stage. Bands were there? It was just a complete lack of accountability from the guys that built the show.
Yeah,
that's exactly it. I mean, he might be a complete and absolute dick. I don't know, but
wasn't his duty of care ultimately
no. And I guarantee if he knew that was happening and someone said, "Hey, this is actually specifically what's happening out there. Can you get these people to calm the fuck down?" He probably would have gone, "Yeah, okay, that's not cool." But he's got some point of authority coming to him and saying, "Hey, you're riling people up too much. Can you calm it down?" He's going to go, "No, fuck you." And he's going to go out there and double down on that and get them worked up. And that's exactly it. And that is the fault of the organizers.
Oh, big time.
A lack of information. Probably the person talking to Fred Durst didn't know all of the information then and not passing that on. And the
sexual assaults. The sexual assaults weren't linked to his set, right? Or Limp Bizkit. That was just it was going on, and it was another example of how badly
that aside,
they failed.
But there was a whole bunch of other things that they were failing throughout the start of that entire festival that they would have damn well known about. And if they were that concerned about it, they could have addressed it in a completely different way rather than trying to pull somebody like that in and then crucifying them afterwards for it.
Agree. Shall we review our second beers before we kick off a bunch of mini reviews? Or do
you guys start? I'm just going to go and rinse my glass out.
Okay. Tomo, have you? No, you haven't even started your second beer, have you? I can hear
just
you
cracked
opening
it. I'm going to pour it live.
Don't rush.
Live.
No, because we don't want I want bad things to happen to laptops. You douchebag. Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes.
Yep, I'm in a mood.
Great. Well, I'll go first again then. So I'm drinking a Gabs beer, actually. Twobays Brewing Almond Milk Porter with vanilla.
Ooh.
Gotta say, not what I expected.
In that it is
It is
better or
sweet.
worse?
I did expect it to be sweet. I expected there to be a lot more kind of coffee and chocolate backbone, and there ain't a lot.
You know that's gluten free.
And whilst it is, no, I didn't know that.
Certified gluten. Actually, CSIRO certified gluten free.
CSIRO.
It's one of the few. It's one of the few breweries in Australia that has been certified by the CSIRO to be 100% gluten free because the owner developed celiacs and was.
You've told us this story on the podcast.
Yeah. Yes, we did. We've done Twobays before. We did their pale and the IPA. And yeah, so he went over and learned about using ancient grains, spelt and buckwheat, when he was in Texas. And this one is, I'm pretty sure it's also, they don't use any lactose. It's almond milk, so it's vegan as well.
Yeah. So it is definitely vegan. It doesn't mention any of that. It just, on the can, it just says decadently smooth almond milk porter brewed for Gabs 22, so that those living a gluten-free or vegan life can enjoy beer festivals too. With light bitterness keeping sweetness in check, this is a beautifully balanced beer. Scan the QR code for more. Brewed in June this year, actually, so it's pretty darn fresh. It's not as thick as I expected it to be for a porter.
I'm sure you say that quite often, Pete. It's all right. No? Okay.
No, it just reminded me of I've been watching, and we're not going to talk about it on the podcast, but I've been watching Uncoupled. I watched a few episodes of Uncoupled, and that just what you just said reminded me of episode 2, and it's not a good memory.
I don't even know what Uncoupled is, so.
Neil Patrick
Netflix
Harris.
show Neil Patrick Harris
is very much redeeming himself for the misogynist that he played in How I Met Your Mother, because everyone fucking hates him for it, even though I loved him in it. Yeah, it's like Sex and the City, but where all of the main characters are gay men, and it's very, very full on. Yeah, so this beer, it's sweet, but it's quite thin. It's just the flavor isn't very strong. It's not offensive by any stretch of the imagination. There is chocolate, just a touch of chocolate. There's lots, like that's a coffee backbone, but I expect a porter to really kind of punch you, and this doesn't really punch you. It is 5.5% though, so it's not a heavy beer. What are you laughing at my rave lights again?
Yeah, but now I figured out what they remind me of. It's the Count from Sesame Street. Every time he does something, goes, wah, that's the flash, because it's always 3 flashes.
Yeah.
So it's every time Peter has a thought now, it's just going to be, wah,
I'm going to give that a 3.5. It's for a Gabs beer. You know what? I'll give it a 0.5 point bonus because he's made an effort for celiacs and vegans. So to bring it up to 4 out of 5. But apart from that, if that wasn't the case, then it would be an absolutely unremarkable beer for a Gabs beer where you expect people to be going out of their way to do something new and inventive.
I actually haven't tried it, so I know where I can get a can. I want to get a can. I would say as a Gabs beer, because he's not using traditional ingredients, because he's using entirely like gluten-free products, it is remarkable in that he's managed.
That's why I gave it an extra 0.5 point, mate.
Yeah.
What do you want? Doesn't redeem the beer entirely. Fuck.
What's the brewery?
Twobays. Twobays, yeah. Yeah. Look, it gets a 4 out of 5. It's just, like I said, if it wasn't for the fact that it's brewed for vegans and celiacs, it'd be an unremarkable beer.
Okay.
It's like saying this is the most amazing fake meat.
Didn't need more.
Tom, what are you drinking?
Justification.
I am drinking the newest Hazy Daze from Garage Project.
Another one.
Yeah, they release them all the time.
You buy them all the time.
Yeah, as soon as there's a new one, I get it. I think they're a great series. I love a little.
They are still numbering them, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, on Untapped, they certainly are.
Oh, they don't put the number on the can anymore. This one contains Citra, Strata, Riwaka, and Brew 1 hops.
Citra. Can you say that again slower, please?
Citra, Strata, Riwaka, and Brew 1.
And
Brew 1. Brew 1, eh?
Hey, Brew.
Yep.
I just brewed
5.8%. 5.8%.
Not bad. Hazy
yeah,
Daze.
and it pours a, classic
Looks
garage
nice.
project.
Yep.
The head did dissipate pretty quickly, the first pour. It kind of just vanished. But it's... Luckily for this one, it wasn't... in halftime when you pour something that's a bit hazy and you get halfway through pouring it and then you just get sludge because all the sediment that's gone to the bottom. I'm a bit of a weird person in that being a cellarman for years, I store all my hazy cans upside down like I'd store my hazy kegs. I don't know why I do it. I just started doing it one day and I don't know if it's actually making them better or worse. I should do the same beer side by side.
Yeah.
And then, in fact, I'm going to do that. Well done, Tom. New adventure. This is, it's as good as the rest of them are. It's got a nice bit of that earthiness from those New Zealand hops coming through. I think Citra, being obviously labelled first, is probably the higher percentage hop used, because it definitely just kind of tastes like a Citra hazy pale. Good old cheat code. But it's great. It's got a nice mouthfeel. It's still light enough. It's not like a thick, you're not drinking that sludge. And yeah, I would give it a 4.5. It's a very, very tasty beer. And I like that I know it's being an ongoing series, but they do focus on that eyeball thing, and I like seeing the new ways they come up to incorporate that in the arts. Cool. And the can is labeled spot on, Dan. Spot on.
It's actually not numbered on Untapped, so
Maybe they've just given up now.
given up. Yeah,
Top
They were
varieties
at,
now.
like-
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of different permutations they've run through. There must be like
Yeah.
20 or 25 of them now.
But well, keep going, boys. Well done. And this one was brewed in Australia, not in New Zealand. So this is yes, very
Cool.
good. Abbotsford, Victoria. It's the Marrickville of Melbourne.
It is.
It
is.
is.
Daniel?
I have
Ooh, he's in trouble. Got called Daniel.
Dainton beer, Dainton Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
Dainton beer?
I think it's Dainton Beer.
Dainton beer it is, yeah.
Or is it Orcus Beer and Dainton Brewing? Who knows? Who cares? Carry on.
Dainton beer. It is hop rising, definitely double hopped. Definitely hopped IPA, sorry. I was getting the D up there wrong. It is a
You always get the D wrong, Dan.
0.5%. Yeah, it just befuddles in my mouth.
Back at you, mate.
Yeah.
Back at you.
6.8% ABV. It's they say the hops added at every stage. It definitely has a West Coast IPA aroma to it.
Mm.
It's very thin, like very, very, very thin, which throws the malt and the bitterness and a slight bit of the alcohol out of balance. So the aroma is really nice because you're getting a really good, pungent, fresh hop aroma, and then the start of the body's nice with that hop character coming in, but then it just really thins out. It seems a little undercarbed as well, not enormously, not offensively, but just that throws the whole body is out. It's so thin. It's the little bit of the booze is coming through on the background, and it's only 6.8%. And for being the color it is, it's light, but it looks much paler in the on the camera than it is. It's got a slight orange tinge to it, but it's just super thin. It could have just really done with some more malts thrown at it, this one, just to balance it out a little bit more. I reckon that's about a 3 for me. It's fine, and I'll drink it, but it's probably got some decks in there too as a double IPA, just to help with that dryness, and I just think that's worked against them with their malt bill.
Yeah, right. Okay. Interesting. It's been
Smells nice though. Smells yum.
Filled the
give
room
that.
with nice smells.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a beautiful hoppy aroma to it. A beautiful West Coast blend of hops. Some Centennial and maybe some Chinook or something in there, but it's got that real, not Citra character, but the real American piney, earthy characters to it, aroma-wise. It's really nice on that side of it.
I was just going to say, Dan, do you want to, for the listeners, explain the Dex so they know what you're talking about?
Sorry, dextrose is a sugar that you can add, and it's mostly added to double IPAs to increase alcohol, but also helps dry and thin out the body for that style of beer. It's not used in a whole bunch of styles, mostly to higher ABV IPAs, mostly West Coast IPAs, and it just helps as an extra sugar that's not derived from the mashing process, not derived from the malts itself. And that's what it does. It dries out and sort of emphasizes the booze to a point, which is meant to be done with double IPAs, but everything still is meant to be in balance as well. So you don't put it in if you've already got a really light malt body and you're not using an ale malt and some crystal malts and things like that to build out your body. It's meant to complement that side of it and still have something there to work with. But this is really dried out. Like it's got quite an astringent, dry bitterness to it, which is coming from that dryness of the Dex without that extra malt body there to build it out. But it smells nice.
And that's important.
That's what you need.
So points on aroma. Negative points for body.
I
Cool.
like you, champs.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I'll finish what's in my glass. I'm not sure I'll finish the can. It's a 375ml can. There's probably 50 to 100 mils left in there. Yeah. I don't know. It's a shame. Looking forward to that one. Dang
That
it.
is a shame.
Can't win them all.
Very good. You cannot.
Let's
Rolling on.
Let's get into some mini reviews. We've basically just a rundown of what did you watch since the last episode almost.
Pete hasn't done his homework and hasn't watched Prey.
You know what? I got a little distracted last night with with a video
What was
game
her
I
name?
started playing. With a video game that I started playing. Her name was Tina. She's tiny.
Did she take you to a wonderland?
Yes, she definitely did. And then I went to watch it this morning, and because there's no way for my living room to be darkened, like I don't have block-out blinds. The pull-down blinds are basically privacy blinds rather than light filtering blinds.
So what you're
And
saying,
the whole
you don't
fucking
have
movie-
you don't have the perfect cinematic experience at home. Is that what you're
during-
saying?
Not
Peter?
during the day.
Not
Yeah,
during
yeah.
Is that what you're
sunlight
saying?
hours, motherfucker.
Don't
I
have
never
that
claimed that I
perfect
did.
experience. Well,
I never claimed that I did.
what?
I said I've spent a
think
lot of money on
everyone-
audio. No, go fuck yourself. I have very specifically said I've spent a lot of money on audio gear. My TV...
to replicate that home cinematic experience. Yeah, okay.
I have also commented that my TV doesn't even support HDR, and ever since finding out about that, I've wanted to replace it, even though I probably wouldn't notice. But no, during the day, movies that are set primarily at night with a lot of action become impossible to watch, which was the first 20 minutes or so of Prey. I'm like, as soon as the lion scene happened, I'm like, I can't tell what's going on. I don't want to ruin this movie for myself, so I'm just going to turn it off. But guys, please, spoil away, by the way. Don't hold back.
I don't know if I want to spoil it. Yeah. I mean,
I have some controversial comments that I was hoping to make, but I wanted Pete to see it because I think they would also be funnier for Pete once I make them. I mean, no, maybe, no. You don't
Make them
know.
anyway. I think all I remember, like all I can say so far is I think it's unrealistic that no matter how much your dog loves you, if it got its foot caught in a fucking bear trap, if you walked up and touched that dog, he'd tear your fucking arm off.
no, I completely disagree. So,
Okay.
Crystal, my cattle staffy that I had, So when I was living at a house in Borkham Hills, we had a wooden fence that are 6 foot high usually. No, probably a little bit. Yeah, probably 6'1" ish fences. And it was an old wooden fence, so some of the palings at the top had sort of just broken away, weathered away. There was and it was a big yard, and there was a lot of gum trees in that area. So the fucking possums used to walk across the top of the fence, and Crystal used to run up the fence to try and get to the possums. I was in watching a movie one night, and I've heard this fucking blood-curdling scream from out the back. I've gone out, and here is Crystal hanging from the fence. She'd run up the fence, and there was a V snapped out of one of the wooden palings. It had come out, and she'd run up the fence, and she'd come down, and she'd
impaled herself on it.
She'd caught her paw behind her ankle area between her knee and so sort of a front forearm area. She was hanging by her one leg up on the fence. So I completely disagree with this, because I ran down there, I wrapped my arms around her. She did latch on. She didn't pierce. She latched on. I said, "Hey, it's me," and she let go. She looked me in the eye and let me lift her, because I had to then get enough weight. Enough of her weight in my arms to lift her up to get her paw out, and then to put her down. And she did not. She put her mouth on me, didn't bite. So I completely disagree with that.
Interesting. Then it's got to be 50-50, because I've got scars on my arms from where my dog, when I was growing up, it was a little dog, it was an Australian Silky Terrier, latched onto my arm after it hurt itself and I was trying to help it. Just attacked me. Fucking my cat did the exact same thing. Had its tail. I've got automatic, like pneumatic seats in my to recreate the cinematic experience, Dan. And he managed to get his tail caught between two metal bars on a pneumatic like a motorized leg lumber. Yeah, like a lazy boy. And as soon as I put my hand under to try and figure out how his tail was pinned and whether or not I could unpin it without touching the fucking electronics in the chair again, because I was worried I was going to shear his fucking tail off, he attacked me straight away. So pets in pain, you're rolling the dice, man.
I don't know what says it more about you or your pet.
No. But I would say that. I was going to say just because cats are jerks. But
cats are definitely jerks, but
so are little dogs, by the way. Little dogs are jerks as well.
But
True.
I reckon it'd be the same if, it's obviously a bit different because you can talk to a human, but I reckon if I had a mate who I was trying to get his foot out of a bear trap, he'd probably knock me out just because he was flailing around so much. But
well, it's one of the things they teach you when you try and when you're doing surf life rescue is the quickest way to drown is try and save a drowning person the wrong way. Anyway, we're way off topic. Go and talk about Prey. Fuck.
I will submit, I got 5 minutes into the movie, I paused it and I took out my phone and looked up doesthedogdie.com because I couldn't get through it. I was like, I need to know. And the Predator. Let's talk about the Predator. So you would say that the basic description of the Predator is, the greatest hunter in the galaxy? That's kind of meant to be the whole thing.
Yeah.
Coward dogs. Absolute coward dogs. I could be the greatest hunter in the galaxy if I could turn fucking invisible and then creep up and stab somebody. Take your invisibility cloak off, and not because you walked into a smoky pit, but, just go out and attack a bear without
So the thought process occurred to me in my short watching. I watched maybe half an hour. I think I stopped after the lion scene.
Which was a really cool scene as well. That lighting is great, yeah.
So she woke up back at the camp and they just announced that her brother was the war chief. So that's where I stopped. It's about 30, 35 minutes in. And the thought did occur to me, you're hunting Native American Indians, or Native Americans, I don't know what you're allowed to call them anymore because it changes. Anyway,
the Comanche people. They were the Comanche people.
Were they? They didn't name the tribe from...
They do. It's
as deep as I got it. Yeah, okay. They've got axes and bows, and you've got a shoulder-mounted cannon with automatic targeting and invisibility cloak. It's not exactly a fair matchup.
No,
And-
I think
and
that
yet
was basically where my point was going.
and
was
and
just
yet you
like,
claim to be the galaxy's hunters, and yet
yeah,
so that thought did occur to me, but then it was immediately followed up by, but then you get a bunch of fat American fucktards who go to Africa and shoot fucking elephants and lions and stuff and call that hunting too. So in reality, there's probably not that much difference. It's still considered to a sport for those people, and even if remove,
I knew that would come up. The hunters wear like camouflage and stuff, and I was like, yeah, they're coward dogs too. Like fight the elephant face on. See how you go against those tasks.
But if you remove the controversy from it, it is still like if you just look at hunting as a sport, and we're not going to get into the whether or not that's a good or bad thing morally, but hunting as a sport, they are hunting animals with technology that is vastly superior to anything the animal has. So it's still considered to be hunting. Anyway,
it was great. It was a very good film. It is now the first ever Hollywood film to feature. So they got a dub a version you can watch of it, which is only it's dubbed over in the Comanche language.
Oh.
That's the first time that's ever happened.
that's awesome.
And actually, the director and the producer, because the producer is from the Comanche Nation, and they said that they suggested watching it first in English and then going back and watching it in the dub, which was that's good. It's like a great thing for that to happen. And I know we kind of talked about it in the chat about the combat aspect of it and how it reminded us of video games. I'll read you my other notes. The God of War shield and Tomahawk of Chaos is what I wrote down.
Yep.
And
He probably hasn't seen the Tomahawk. Well, he definitely hasn't seen either of them yet. But
No.
I haven't seen the shield, but I mean, she's throwing the axe at the start of the movie.
Yeah.
And it's actually in the trailer what Tom's talking about too. So.
Yeah. But in terms of the way that she hunts and fights, I got real like Horizon Zero Dawn vibes. Like and obviously that goes back to the fact that game would have taken influence. It's like the reversal. Yeah. So that's
heavily influenced by Native American culture.
Yeah. So like especially the Nora tribe that Alloy is part of. But
and the Inuits at the end in the expansion, the Frozen Wasteland, or Frozen Wastes, yeah.
But it's fucking cool combat though. Like, the other note I had was brilliant use of the lack of a soundtrack. There's the one scene that stuck out with me is, and you kind of see it in the trailer, they're in the long grass and the guy pulls back the bow and you hear every creak and little twang and the rustle of the feathers as he pulls down. And I had to watch it. Emma was recording a lecture and she's like, I don't want to watch this film. And I was like, that's fair. So I paired my...
But you're going to fucking hear it, love.
No, because I paired my noise-cancelling headphones.
Right,
Like
okay.
I've got ones that like completely shut you off from the world.
Yeah.
And I put those on and I was just like, oh, it's like he's pulling the arrow down my spine. Like that's how like good it was because I turned it all the way up. But yeah, some really, really well done moments where there's a complete lack of soundtrack or like any external noise and it's just the noise you would hear in that situation.
You probably did yourself a favor. Like I don't know what you normally play your soundbar. The frequency response on most soundbars is pretty bad, so you probably did yourself a favor by switching the headphones because you're getting much better reproduction out of them.
Hearing the Predator click in like surround sound headphones, like, like that's that's cool. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Very, very, very good film. I don't know, Dan, if you've got anything else to add to it, but
No, I completely agree. There was a few things that I think lead deep into some visual spoilers that I don't want to get into because I think that it has links to Predator mythology. Is that how they like their canon story that you see visually about the Predator when he's not in cloak further on in the movie that I wouldn't mind talking about and getting people's opinions on when it gets to that point and Pete's seen it. So I think there's an interesting conversation there about all that. I loved it. I thought it was great. I mean, the beats of the movie were fairly standard and predictable. The introduction of the characters I think were great. All of the Native American characters were absolutely fantastic. I think was really cinematically, it was really great. There was a lot of pulled back drone shots of just her walking through the wilderness at points, and the soundtrack and the special effect sound that went with it. Special effect sounds, the soundscape that went with it overall, not just the music, but the soundscape overall, I think was great. If this isn't used as a refresh / reboot of the Predator franchise, if they don't do that and capitalize on this, they're absolutely missing the fucking point.
I think they've been talking about it.
Oh,
they've been talking about it, yeah.
And if they do what that little meme that I dropped in the chat about going to feudal Japan, and if that could be the next jump, that'd be sick. Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Predator going to get some Ronin or some samurai, and I mean, there's enough suspended belief that the combat that she was doing in Prey wasn't the traditional combat of the people. So if we could get some Predator in Japan, let's see that next. I think that'd be fucking fantastic.
Well, they're doing is it a Ghost of Tsushima movie they're doing?
Yes,
Tom
only one make it
mentioned
goes.
it,
Yeah. And they're talking about doing it entirely in Japanese, which I think would make it much more enjoyable.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Yep.
I wouldn't be able to understand what they're saying to each other, but
I'd go and see it without subtitles. I'd love to go and see it without subtitles. And not get distracted by... Well, because I'm a shit reader. My English is terrible. Sometimes I have to read subtitles multiple times before I get the gist of what they're saying. So I miss what's happening. And I would much rather sit there and have an experience of watching... Like I watched the Visions, Star Wars Visions, some of the Japanese spoken ones without subtitles. I think it was great just to sit there and watch the experience and watch every little nuance and just get...
But you have no idea what the fuck is going on.
But... good filmmaking, good storytelling shouldn't rely on the dialogue that's being said only to be able to express and tell a story. It should be shown through the actors.
It worked in the silent film era. Worked in the silent film era.
No, it didn't. You had subtitles in the fucking silent film. You had the fucking subtitles in between scenes. You dope. Anyway, cool.
Actually, Dan, when you watched it, you didn't have any subtitles for the French guys, did you?
No.
Yeah. So that was a bit where I know exactly what you're talking about, because I was trying to. There's some French characters in it, and you try and put together what they're talking about or what they're saying, and there's.
But a lot of movies elect to do that, where you have a small number of scenes with people speaking in a foreign language, where the conversation is irrelevant to the storyline, so they don't bother subtitling it.
But
that's
it wasn't
a conscious
irrelevant
choice
to
by
the
the director.
It was definitely a conscious choice. And they were having these... Yeah, but shut up for a second. They were having the conversation, and you could tell what they were talking about just through the actions of the people and the context of the environment around them and what was going on. I have no idea what they said.
No.
But the point is, the director made a conscious choice that the language... The specific words they were using weren't nuanced enough to have an impact on the overall theme, right? You could get enough just by having a conversation.
If they knew what they were saying and see if they're actually saying shit or if they were like gibberish.
No, they would never do gibberish in a common foreign language anymore. I would really doubt it.
There is something that happens after Pete.
There is something. Don't you a second time, man.
There is something that happens after that they could have very well have referenced in that scene.
Sure. I get what you're saying. Sometimes what you're saying is relevant. Sometimes how you're saying what you're saying is relevant. So, anyway.
Yeah, we're not talking about fucking Tarantino-esque dialogue.
No, but you are actually proposing to watch a movie entirely in a foreign language with no subtitles, Dan. So you kind of
I used to watch some late night SBS things, and I wasn't reading the subtitles.
But you weren't there for the.
He still got the idea of the story, man.
They're boobs in any language.
Sorry, what? Boobs? Where?
But also, it's Ghost of Tsushima. Like, If that's what they're doing, I'm not going to go and watch some random Japanese movie that I don't know what the storyline's going to be and like expect to understand every aspect of the movie. If it's a movie adaptation of Ghost, I know what's going to happen. I know who the main character is. I know who his uncle is. I know how this is going to play out. And then there might be differences.
If they stay true to the game storyline.
That was about what I was going to say. Like if they take some little bits and pieces that are different, like for some reason every adaptation of a video game has to be made in a movie.
Yeah, they had some weird twist. Yeah,
weird something there. But
Tomoe will be a fucking love interest instead of a double crossing fucking bitch. But then you won't know. That's the problem, right? You don't anyway.
But you'll work it out. If the
Tomoe is Tomoe in every language, so yeah, I guess you'd.
If the visual storytelling is good enough as well, and that's what I think. That's one of the biggest things about the Ghost. I know we're completely off track here.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Ghost the game, like if they don't pull that visual storytelling over to the movie, they're going to have missed a massive. I completely agree. Massive. Part
it needs to be an almost like more real than real to pull it off.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's move on. I did watch Northman, which you reviewed last episode. I agree with you. It was a perfect balance between mysticism and rooted in reality. Thoroughly fucking enjoyable movie. Predictable, but thoroughly enjoyable.
Once again, predictable beats.
The only thing that I was impressed about was that they had the balls to not have a happy ending, and I'm glad that they did it the way they did it. It was almost a.
You don't want to repeat your views on Nicole Kidman there, Peter? No?
Oh, I'll absolutely repeat my views. Yeah. She's made out of plastic and she no longer looks like Nicole Kidman.
No, can you please say exactly what you said?
What did I say?
I haven't laughed that hard in a long time.
I don't remember what I said.
I'm pretty sure you referred to her face as a puckered asshole.
But she actually
I cry laughed, and I'm even cry laughing again thinking it's just like, Jesus.
I don't remember.
Yeah, because then I sent I'm sure she really cares about our view, and then it was the gif of Woody Harrelson wiping his eyes with money, just like...
yeah, that's right.
Her face looks... Yes, I said...
Really made me giggle.
I said, finally watching Northman, and fuck me, Kidman looks terrible. And Dan said, yep, terrible. And Tom said, ha ha, I'm sure her reaction to a comment like that would be similar to this, and it was Woody Harrelson. I said, lol, but seriously, fuck her. Her face looks like a prolapsed asshole.
That was it, prolapsed. That's even worse.
It's just, it's not her. I don't understand how an actress or an actor who needs to engage the viewer through micro expressions, or else you could essentially replace them with fucking CGI, could do that much work to your face that it no longer moves properly.
But she actually looked out of place in that because of it.
She did. So to me, there's only two people that I can think of at the moment in Hollywood that are like that. Nicole Kidman and Megan Fox. And they're two examples.
George Clooney, man. He looks like a fucking busted asshole. He looks like he's gone 10 rounds with fucking Tyson and it's like just all fucking swollen and shit.
Which is a real shame because he was aging gracefully and women loved him as an older man who'd aged gracefully, but apparently he's changed his mind.
So probably Nicole Kidman and Megan Fox were probably aging gracefully as well.
Megan Fox, the ripe old age of 28 decided to completely restructure her face. Come on.
But anyway.
But my point was those two actors are in their own category for me in that they do not look like the same people that they started off in Hollywood as. Like if you put them side by side, you could believe that they weren't the same human. And to me, that's a big shame. Anyway, Northman, that's my take on Northman. Thoroughly enjoyed the fucking movie.
How good was the Draugr fight where he goes to get the sword?
Fuck yeah. And he steps into the moonlight and he steps back and it took him a couple of seconds to realize what had happened. I really liked that. And how fucking tall the fucking Draugr was too.
Draugr straight out of Skyrim, Tom.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
What did you watch it on, Pete?
My television?
Amazon.
Yeah, which service?
Oh, I watched it on Amazon.
I don't know. I don't recall.
No, okay. But it was more
I paid for it, so
You both had to pay for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was where I was getting to.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm prepared to I knew it was going to be a good movie, so $6.99 to rent it, no problems. I refuse to pay fucking $29 to rent when you can buy it for $32. I'll just wait till it's cheap. $6.99 Apple TV.
Okay.
Yeah, because I wanted it in 4K.
I will definitely get around to it. Yep.
I watched Fantastic Beasts 3. I know you're not interested, Dan.
Oh no, I haven't seen it.
I won't spoil it. Like it's a mini review, but it was actually I thoroughly enjoyed it. You didn't have to do that. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a good wrap up of the story. It continues.
So they're not doing the 5 they were
Potterverse.
talking about now, or
Look, it's open ended enough. They could easily do.
Yeah. Yep.
It was a bit jarring to have to swap out the actor. Like they never really explained.
they replaced him with Mads Mikkelsen, didn't they?
Yeah, and I love Mads Mikkelsen. He's a great actor. I really enjoyed him in the Hannibal series.
Yeah.
But it was a bit jarring going from Johnny Depp to Mads Mikkelsen. And they never address it. And Dumbledore, like we all knew that he was gay. No one cared. Like it's 2022. It's not a big deal anymore. So
yeah.
But they kind of hung their hat on a little bit too much on it. I just felt like it was news for the second news as opposed to it being a plot-driven choice, if that makes any sense. But it was good. I mean, you do feel for Dumbledore. Certainly it characterizes or it humanizes him as a character a lot more than they ever did in Potter. Because in Potter he's important, but his background important, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he was always the guide kind of thing for Harry, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he was old Ben Kenobi, really.
Yeah.
So
that whole story was a complete clone from Star Wars.
I don't know. Have I missed something on the run sheet? Is that what Operation Mincemeat is? No, you've interjected it in between. Sorry.
Fantastic.
Just hit refresh on the sheet.
Right, yeah. So I don't know if you guys have seen Operation Mincemeat. It's a little bit outside of our kind of standard topics for pop culture because it's based on real events in World War II, but really good series. Very old school, traditional, no action spy movie, basically. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of espionage, a lot of double thinking and triple thinking and predicting what the enemy's going to do and how they're going to respond and overthinking in at times, but based on a real true story of how they planted information on a fallen soldier and then dumped them like off the shore of France in the hopes that Nazi Germany would pick up some papers he was carrying and believe it to be real intelligence. I think they ended up putting him in. Is it off the coast of France? It might have been Cuba.
Yeah,
I fucking remember now.
It was France.
Why would it be off the coast of Cuba in World War II?
Sorry?
Cuba. Why would it be off the coast of Cuba in World War II?
No, but I don't know why I have it in my head that it looked very Cuban, like it was very Havana stylistically where they picked him up. Anyway, so whether or not they believed the fake papers that they put on the body and kind of changed because it was all about where was America going to land Britain. Where was Britain going to invade to strike back? And Germany knew that they were going to invade in a specific spot, and and Britain was trying to throw them off the track. So that's what the story is about. It's a brilliant movie, though. Really well acted throughout.
The cast looks sick. Colin Firth, Matthew McFadden, Kelly MacDonald, Jason Isaacs.
All-star cast. Why do I feel like Matt Smith? Was Matt Smith in it? I don't think he was. Am I thinking of another movie?
Morbius.
Anyway, no, he wasn't. Yeah, no, really good. Well worth watching.
Okay. What was that on?
Don't remember. I think I paid for that one too. I think that was a cheap rental, like $4 or something.
Yeah.
Hang on. Allow me to check Just Watch while you guys talk about The Boys season 3. Have you all seen it?
I have.
You can't talk about The Boys without putting on a really dodgy Roger Dodger fucking accent.
Well. If it ain't the invisible
Thank you, Tom.
I did see a great little image today that was a Wheel of Fortune board, and it's got 2 letters and then 4 letters, and it's I and UNT, and underneath is just Carl Urban just going.
Fuck, he's perfect for that role.
Oh, I love Carl Urban. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I fucking love him. Apparently, he wants to play Dredd again too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
fucking great.
Dredd. Yeah.
Actors getting behind the characters that they want to play is a really cool thing that we're starting to see come out. I mean, you Henry Cavill wanted to play Geralt, and he made that happen. He pushed for that to happen. You have, and he's now pushing to play another character. Oh, the Highlander reboot.
Yeah,
he really wants to do Highlander, which I think would be interesting.
Well, he's got the sword skills now, so may as well.
He's doing a lot of projects though. So you haven't seen The Boys. Let's park The Boys season 3 then.
Got 3 episodes left.
Because you wanted to specifically talk about that once you'd seen it, so we'll park that. Have you guys watched The Sandman?
No.
I have. I've smashed through it.
Neil Gaiman strikes again.
Have you read the books, Pete?
I have not.
Oh, it is so faithful.
I haven't seen
down to the dude they got to play Dream. Like, he looks so close to the original source.
He looks inhumanly skinny. Like, I was going to look up. I never did. I was going to Google whether or not he'd been, like, synthetically skinnied up through CGI. Because he does some nude scenes at the start. It's not full frontal nudity, but he does some nude scenes at the start.
That's when he gets captured, at least.
And he looks super anorexic.
But he's also, I think that definitely, I'm pretty sure, was CGI, because if you look at the way his limbs look, they are extra long. Like, they look like spider.
Or are they normal length and extra skinny?
Nah, I reckon they're extra long. Extra long sub. I thought it was fantastic. It was such a good series. Like, it was one of those ones as well, because I read it years and years ago. I would have been, like, I'm talking like a decade at least. I would have been, early 20s when I first read it. And it was one of those cool moments where, like, going through the show, I'd be like, oh,
I remember that.
Yeah, this is all coming back to me now.
One of the best original intellectual properties I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, it's a great series. The guy who plays the Corinthian, who is a nightmare who escapes into the world, is the dude from Logan, the blonde guy from Logan, with the cyborg arm. He is fantastic. He is excellent in that. Gwendolyn Christie, who was in Game of Thrones. There's Charles Dance is in it.
She's so good as the devil.
Dance, fuck.
Yeah, he plays the wizard at the start.
Yeah.
And then you got Patton Oswalt. He voices a crow.
A raven. It was like, thank you. It's not a
raven.
Crow,
Sorry, you're
raven.
right. Yep. He even makes that comment in the thing.
That's why I was making the comment. Otherwise, I'd just be a dick.
No, but you're right.
And I am a dick.
Yeah, that too. The fact that he doesn't change his voice at all, and it just comes out as that Patton Oswalt, like, American,
it's so
like,
perfect.
LA voice.
It's so
but
perfect.
It cuts so well because the rest of the cast is very British, and it's like this perfect little, like, almost like refreshing, like, spray of water to the face, being like, oh, okay, sweet, okay, yep, cool. And then you got good old Clara's in it as Joanna Constantine. Yep, there
Jenna
we go.
Coleman.
We've lost him again. Jenna Coleman. And
that's all.
I think
the end.
No, and the guy who played the ageless guy, the guy who couldn't die, and they met in the pub every 100 years. He was really, I was really familiar, but he was really good. And there were a bunch of other, like, high-ranking British actors that you would have seen and stuff as well that played, like, some more minor roles.
Yeah, I don't know, actually. It's not.
Yeah,
I don't know the actor's name.
But I thought he was quite good as well. That was also the Lewis something. He was the son who had the ruby. And there's
who had a ruby.
In the diner episode. Yep. There is one episode halfway through the season which is like,
that's a dark episode, man. That's really,
but it's so well done, and it's such, like, it pulls you out, and it becomes this, like, slasher horror, like
yeah,
scene,
but
but it runs
reminded
for
me
a full
of
40-minute episode. Yeah.
So it reminded me of the movie. I can't remember the name of the movie, so this is going to just piss off listeners. It was a movie set in a diner in America during the apocalypse, and it was an angel sitting in the diner dealing with a demon. Is it ringing any bells? It was. It stood out for me because the angel has like angel wings made out of steel, and it's bulletproof, and he shields himself. He does this spin during the movie, and these wings just suddenly turn into these rigid metal bodies, and it looked really fucking awesome. That's why it stood out.
Legion.
That's it. Legion. Thank you. That
Do you know,
episode,
I typed Angel vs. Demon Diner movie into Google and it came up.
there you
Legion.
go. That episode reminds me a hell of a lot of Legion. It's set in a diner. It's almost a psychological thriller, even though there's a lot of action going on. But honestly, Dan, like we've complained. I know I've complained vocally on this podcast that there's so little original intellectual property out there in Hollywood these days. This is a perfect example of brilliance in terms of original IP. Now, it is based on the book written by the book series written by Neil Gaiman. It's also,
but he's involved, so
very directly, like he was with Dark Omen, Dark Omens, Good Omens. Thank you. And also directed by David S. Goyer, who is like Dark Knight, the writer of Dark Knight. He wrote Dark City. He's
never directed
Batman Begins. Batman Begins wasn't a bad movie.
No, he said he's never directed a good movie.
Right.
He's written a lot of hits.
Yeah,
but he's never
directed.
directed.
Of hits.
He's never directed a good movie. Blade Trinity.
He didn't direct Blade Trinity. Oh no, you're right. He did. You're right. He did.
Still got one of my favorite lines, which I can't say because we don't have a marker.
No, you can't. So yeah, no, definitely worth watching The Sandman. Do we want to park the last topic, Dan? I know you can see the sheet for after the break because I feel like we need to take a break.
I think so because I think that's going to go longer than I've lost my sheet.
Okay.
Yes.
My last little thing on Sandman, though,
sorry, mate.
very quickly, was refreshing to have a series that was only 40-minute episodes. That was that kind of detailed and like left me very often. I've said this a long times. I'll happily watch an episode and then walk away and go do something else.
Yeah.
I was like, next one, please. So Emma and I finished it in 3 nights. We watched.
I was the same.
It was 10 episodes. We did 4, and then finished the final 2.
And I was disappointed at the end.
And it wasn't. Yeah, and it was one of those things like, like Stranger Things where you have to put aside a whole like night just to watch an episode, like that last 2.5 hour one. And the other thing was when they go into Desires, when you finally meet Desire.
Yeah.
Great to see that actor coming back for another Netflix series because they were in Cowboy Bebop.
Okay.
So, and I'm pretty sure they're Australian.
I didn't recognize them from anything. So
no, they were the drag attendant in the bar in Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But the only thing that came to me, like, so Desire's realm in this thing, Desire, because there's the 7 endless, and they're dream, death, desire, despair, and I can't remember the other 2. But they all have their different realms. So Dream's realm is obviously like every single dreamscape and nightmarescape you can think of. Desire lives in a giant statue of herself or himself, kind of androgynous. Themselves, yeah. But and like in there, like the chest is open and there's a giant heart, and then they live within the heart. And I don't know why, but when you go inside and like Desire's walking around,
it looks exactly the way you imagine it should look, given what you know about
the only thing I could think of was in this Desire like realm, like inside the actual like keep, the castle, like Massive Attack must be playing aggressively loud. Like it's a lot of red like plastic and latex and weird curvy furniture, and I was just like, yeah, just aggressive Massive Attack plays in the background. Like that should have been like a subtitle. Like
actually, I don't know if I just randomly gendered him or Mason Alexander Park as they them, but I presume so given how androgynous.
Well,
the character
Desire's androgynous.
Certainly,
I was getting.
So they're also playing in the reboot of Quantum Leap, apparently.
They're rebooting Quantum Leap.
Yeah, because they've got to reboot fucking everything.
Yeah. You talk
I'm
about
waiting for
original IP.
Airwolf.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Airwolf to be rebooted.
God.
Cool. And on that note, I might try and dig up the theme song and we'll play that while we do the break. We'll be back in just a jiffy.
Hey, Jiffy.
Hey. Hey.
And we're back. God, I know the shit out of myself when I say it that way now. It's just one of those things. Dune, you wanted to talk about Dune again, Dan, even though we dedicated an hour and a half to it not too long ago.
Well, tough shit, because
Tough titties.
it's my time to talk, and you can just shut the fuck up and sit in your corner for a little while.
Wow.
I only want to bring it up because they've started to film. Principal photography on Dune 2 or Dune Part 2 has started to film. So we have the four main new characters that are going to appear in Part 2 casting. So full casting. So Christopher Walken as the Emperor, Shazam IV. I'm kind of coming around to being him as Shazam. I would have liked to have seen him as like a guild ambassador over Shazam. I think Charles Dance would have been the perfect Shazam IV, but we'll go with Christopher Walken. I mean, he's a fantastic actor, and
Iconic fucking actor.
Yeah, and I mean, he fits the what is potentially going forward the weird world of, or the weird universe of the Dune mythology. So we'll see how all that plays out. Florence Pugh is playing Arulin, who is his daughter, who is a Bene Gesserit princess, the daughter of the Emperor. So she's a fantastic actor as well. So, and she absolutely looks the part of Arulin, or Princess Arulin.
I just don't know if I can see her out like as anything other than Black Widow now, because she's done such a fucking mad job of creating that Black Widow spirit.
You know what? You say that, and she's realistically the strong female character there between like the Black Widow and her character within Dune. Even though she gets very overshadowed by other characters, and she comes in as a bit of a quiet person. If they get past the first Dune book, like, she will really come to shine in Dune Messiah.
I don't see Florence Pugh playing a character that's quiet and like shrinking violet. I just don't see it in her.
Well, she is and she isn't. Like, Rulin is and it isn't. She's kind of overruled because she's controlled by her father, the Emperor of the known universe. She is a Bene Gesserit
so she's
witch,
being controlled by the witches.
Well. So she's being controlled by the Bene Gesserit as well, and has to go by her training and everything that the Bene Gesserit priesthood, the church lays out for her. And then she goes into, I don't want to throw too many spoilers out there, even though it's a very old book and a very old story. We're going to get part 2 next year. So and this is going to come through at the end of part 2. So I don't want to throw too many spoilers out there, but then she goes into being part of Paul's world in a way, and is not really controlled by her, but is very much put in her place within his empire.
Okay.
So she does, but then when Dune Messiah rolls around, she plays a huge and dominant part within that story, if they get to that within the movie. So that's good. Austin Butler, who just played Elvis, is Fade Ruther. He's the other nephew of the Baron Harkonnen. So we've got, what's his name? Batista, playing Raven the Butcher. And Fade is meant to be he's kind of the opposite of Paul. He's roughly Paul's age, and he is the Harkonnen version. And he would have been the one that Paul would have been married to under the Bene Gesserit plan if Paul had been born a female. And then the coupling of those two would have produced the Kwisatz Haderach, not having it been a generation beforehand, having it been Paul. So Fade is a big part of where the Harkonnen story goes from the Baron and Raven and things like that. So Austin Butler obviously just ran Elvis, so I haven't seen it. I'm not going to see it, but he's got some.
I'll probably watch it. I've actually really been enjoying those movies recently. So we had there was I haven't seen all of them, but I have seen the Elton John one. So Rocket Man, that was fucking brilliant. That was top fucking notch acting. I watched the Queen movie on Friday night, Bohemian Rhapsody. Yep. That was really interesting to watch. So I'll probably watch the Elvis one. I didn't watch the Johnny Cash one.
I just want to know how they're going to deal with his pedophilia, but we'll see how they cancel that out. Well, all the girls that he liked were very underage.
What are we talking about? We're talking about Elvis now, right? Okay. Anyway, they gloss over all of that sort of stuff.
I'm sure they do. We've had how do you pronounce her name? Leah Sedux, the Lady Fenrig that we talked about a few weeks ago, the Bond lady.
Yeah, we decided that we were just going to call her Leah.
Okay.
Seydoux.
Okay, we'll try not to mispronounce.
Because otherwise,
if
you say it's Seydoux, then it sounds like Skidoo, and it's just
fair enough.
Yeah.
So they're the four main new castings we've got for Dune Part 2. Right. So it's solid casting again for.
Oh, and don't forget all of the other actors who were already there, right? Timothy Chalamet, yeah, I mean he's new. He's a solid actor in the first movie, but I haven't seen him in anything else. But Josh Brolin, Dave Bautista, as you said before. I'm really interested to see how Christopher Walken goes. Because Christopher Walken, whilst he's an excellent actor, has a tendency to play Christopher Walken as. Yeah.
And
so
that's exactly my thoughts on it too, is like Charles Dance would have been the perfect choice. Like, absolutely.
I totally fucking agree.
And
he's played too many like emperor dudes though now. He's getting a bit typecast for that.
But
he is, and it's all science fiction. It's all out there sci-fi that he's been in recently.
You're talking about the emperor of the known universe, though. Like this dude's got to be like the man. So I'd really,
he's
really
got the commanding voice for it. He
does.
Yeah. So that's really looking forward to that. Next year, they reckon that'll be late next year. I think that's scheduled for release. So really looking forward to big things that come out of that. I've rewatched Dune twice again since it came out, or since I bought it on Blu-ray. So I need
to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, there was a couple of things that I pulled out of it the second and third watch through. That one really annoyed me because it's quite against the Dune, how things are written in Dune, which was the still suit discipline. So you get the very last shot of Dune where they've got Paul and Jessica are with the Fremen, and he sees the worm off in the distance and the rider and things like that. And none of them are wearing their hoods and their still suits. And that is one of the big things that Frank Herbert points out in the book is still suit discipline for the Fremen is like utmost. And just, I understand.
It's an extension of living for them.
Exactly. Like cinematography wise, I understand why they did it, because you've got your three main actors or your three main characters that
and you need to see their faces.
3/4 of their faces hidden for the absolute climax of the entire 2 and a bit hour movie, and you've got the last scene and all three actors have got their faces completely covered. So I understand why they didn't, but
I think it would have been better had they covered their faces and made it realistic. You would have known who the actors were. They'd already established themselves.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And going on that still suits thing, the one big thing that actually stood out to me, and it's like just like a split second then when Dr. Kynes dies, so the judge of the change lady, when she gets stabbed by a Sardaukar, like she gets stabbed through the middle, and you don't see blood spurt out, you see the water spurt out of her still suit. And I think that was a really beautiful callback to the books where water is more important than blood. So in the end, when anybody dies in the Fremen culture, their body is broken down to the water, and the water is owned by the tribe. And this is they go through the books and they talk about this, and I think it was just a really, really beautiful 2 seconds worth, or not even 2 seconds, like split second worth, stabbed, water spurt instead of blood, and it really did highlight the importance of it's not the blood that she's bleeding, it's the water that she's bleeding. And I thought that was
that's the
fantastic.
loss. The loss is the water, not the life.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was fantastic. So within that time frame too, I've actually now read all of Dune Messiah. I'd never read Dune Messiah. I'd only read the first book. So I've now read Dune Messiah, which is quite a thin book in comparison. And I'm about halfway through Children of Dune. So some big things about Dune Messiah is straight up, it starts to where he introduces the weird shit in the Dune universe. Straight up, you've got a Tele-Lexu face dancer. So Tele-Lexu is just another planet of people. They're very hierarchical. They're all male. The female of their race are basically just breeding pods. The face dancers are kind of the warrior class of the world. They're shapeshifters. They can take on. It can mimic a personality and a voice and a face, obviously, completely. And these are introduced in the first few pages of Dune Messiah. You get the Spacing Guild, so you see he talks about a navigator. So you hear about the navigators described in their weird bubbles of orange spice mist floating there. So you get the weirdness there, and it just leads into them in a big conspiracy against Paul. So it's 12 years on from the happenings of the first Dune book and the movie, and it just goes on there, and it's just a massive conspiracy. And this is where they start to Frank Herbert names the ability of Paul to see the future. So it's called prescience, and Paul can see all of these different paths that are happening in front of him. Can never really narrow it down, and he can't see it past a certain point. And later on in the book, something happens, which is a stone burner bomb goes off and burns his eyes out through. This bomb gives off J rays, and it melts people's eyeballs. And Paul loses his eyes and his ability to see. And from there on out, he's lost that sense. And so now the prescience actually shows him the right path to go down. And this is the only path he can see. So it really leans heavy into those, I guess, it's not really supernatural. He's still trying to base it in science to an extent.
Pseudoscience at best.
Yeah, pseudoscience. Yeah. That's exactly the way to put it. And then the last weird thing that's introduced in that is the Golers, which is the cloning of dead people. So Duncan Idaho comes back in Dune Messiah as a Goler. He has gold metallic eyes, and so they're done by the Tele-Lexu. That's part of their cloning. One of the Bene Telex is one of their classes, and they're cloning scientists. So it really does go off the wall from Messiah. And then Children of Dune kind of pairs it back a little bit for about half to 3/4 of the book as well. And you kind of go back to some more political dancing that they had in the first Dune book. And it's very Game of Thrones-esque, which is obviously where George R.R. Martin got a lot of ideas from. Yep. And it follows Paul's children, so Leto and Ganima, the twins. And the really interesting thing about Children, how he wrote Children of Dune, was he's just come off the first two books where Paul is very much using the prophecy sight, the prescience, to look forward in life and see what happens forward. And Leto, Alia, who is Paul's sister, and Ganima, who's Leto's twin, actually very much focus on looking back. So they're known in the books as what's called preborn. So they're preborn with the genetic memories of every single person that has gone through their bloodline. So they've got thousands of years worth of genetic memory, and basically they hear and feel these memories through the personalities that are in their ancestors' personalities within their heads. And if they're not careful, they can actually get possessed by those personalities, and they can let them come forward. So you get to the third book in the series, and he very much talks about looking back, like talking about all of the people that have gone previously and how their lives have influenced where the Dune universe is now. Even to the point where he makes a comment about the twins talking in ancient Egyptian, and it's very, very interesting about looking back instead of looking forward. And so it's a big turn and a very big credit to Frank Herbert for changing the style of how he was writing, rather than how some writers and some TV producers.
Well, he was kind of a dead-end writer before Dune.
Yeah.
And even Dune, it was a lucky turn of events that got him to where the original book got him. So
he did well. Because they're great. They're great. I can't believe I've never read them before now, but fantastic. I love them, and I will continue this annoyance of Dune until the second.
When are you going to read
comes
Unsold?
out.
Have you got Unsold yet?
No, I'm stuck on Dune.
I literally read the 11th book in the series, Dread God, which was released 2 months ago. I read it in a day.
Yeah, I got half of Children of Dune left, and two more in the Frank Herbert Dune series, and I think I'll probably pull the pin there.
Stop there.
And
I might order you a paper copy of Unsold, because it's a print-on-demand book, so it takes some time from Amazon, and you'll be done by then. So cool. Thank you for your book review of Dune Messiah.
Sounds like a teacher cancelling out a child that's talked too long up at the front of.
No, not at all.
5 minutes is up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Fuck off the podium. Let the next annoying child get up and talk
I'm
about.
just about to run out of beer.
I've got 29 of these to do. Can you hurry the fuck up, please?
No, I'm going to run out of beer.
Well,
not at all. I just thought.
Talk about talk about your beer before you run out of beer.
Before I ran out of beer. No, I was just giving you shit that essentially you just reviewed a book written in the 60s. It's not to say that it wasn't an interesting topic of conversation. I just thought that was kind of funny.
I'm just bringing it up because there's going to be a shitload of people out there that haven't read the books, and it just the weirdness.
But Dune
of where
Part
it all
2
goes.
covers the second half of Dune.
It does.
We've got no idea whether or not he's going to get greenlit for a third movie to start dealing with all this crazy weirdness.
No idea. And that's why I wanted to bring it up, because we've spoken
because it goes
previously,
off the deep end real quick.
We've spoken previously about it going off the deep end with Leto becoming the God Emperor and things like that.
Yeah.
But I hadn't read Messiah at that point, so I didn't realize how quickly it actually changes from what we see in
like
Dune.
science fiction, rooted in reality, to crazy off the wall,
Yeah,
off
and
the
it all exists in the
creativity.
universe. And if he's going to get the Messiah green light, he kind of needs to start introducing these elements now. So people aren't. Pete just got attacked by a cat.
I did. That's exactly what happened. He
we can
jumped.
tell.
He tried to jump on my knee, realized he wasn't going to make it, and just dug claws into my legs. Fucking piece of shit cat. I'm going to have an orange hat next episode. Sorry, carry on.
Orange hat.
See my vest made from real gorilla chest.
Oh, an orange. Oh, as in his
I'm
yellow
going to
fur.
turn my
Okay.
cat into a
Gotcha.
fucking hat. Yes. Dr. Zeus
Talk about your
can see
beer,
me
Pete.
now. Okay. I am drinking.
Tonight's the night that Pete reviews all his beers first.
Yeah, that's unusual. I've been
Well,
pushing myself to last lately.
he was the one that said he was almost out. So
I am almost out. This is Big Shed Brewing's Frankenbrown, which is an American brown ale.
Frankenbrown.
5.3%, 40 IBUs, pale, biscuit, medium crystal, and light choc malt with Mosaic and Simcoe hops. Fucking solid. It is like a really solid brown ale.
that's nice.
It's exactly what you expect. It does have just a touch of hoppiness on the nose, so you actually are getting those notes, which is somewhat surprising for a brown ale. Most of the time, it's steeped so, like, it's so rich in those molasses notes that you get out of like a brown ale. But this is excellent. It's got a real hoppy punch through the brown backbone, the malt backbone. So I'm very impressed by that. I know I'm not using very descriptive language, but I'm actually quite pissy, which is surprising because I've only had 3 beers. And I'm about to crack a 12%er.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be an interesting night.
That's all right. I'm going to join you. I'm going to join you with a 12.5%er. In a
It's
big
going to be
fucking
an
can, too.
interesting episode. Yeah, I've got that problem too with Brick Lane.
Well, for once, I'm the sensible one. But maybe I just go change my fourth beer.
I'm going to give that a 4.5.
Nice.
It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but not too much, and it's right on the edge of the palate, so it's not a sweet beer by any stretch of the imagination. It's quite hop forward, and then you get a real solid malt hit. And the malt notes are caramel, just a touch of coffee, maybe a little bit of cocoa, but not chocolate, if that makes sense.
Yep.
You get that kind of that bitter, sweet chocolate note rather than a sweet chocolate note.
Nothing more enjoyable than watching a child who's found the cocoa packet instead of the Almond blend, which we used to have in our house. Yep, that's not the sweet stuff.
Love cocoa. That's me. Dan, what are you drinking, mate?
On my third attempt, I grabbed this one because I wasn't going to go for another one that I had one of these yesterday and I knew it was going to be good, so I was gonna bring it on. Batch West Coast IPA. This is exactly the type of West Coast IPA I like and love, which is why I bought a 4-pack of it the other day. It's a light-bodied. It's not as pale as what it's coming up there. It's got a slight orangey tinge to it, but it's got a good solid bitterness to it. It's not like that ridiculously thin that happened in the last Dainton IPA that I had. It's got a really nice. It's got a light body to it, but not as stupidly dry and unbalanced as what the last one was. Everything that's in this is really super balanced. It's got solid bitterness. It's got that Dex dryness to it without being thin. It's got a good level of carbonation to it, and then it's just got good resiny hop characters to it. Really good. It's great.
Nice. 4. Cool.
Never heard of them.
Tom?
Second favorite. Second favorite West Coast IPA, by the way. Second favorite.
We'll tell Signor Luigi tomorrow.
Oh my god, this beer's going to kill me. Carry on.
That angry Italian fuck. I am drinking a collaboration beer. It is Bright Brewing and Moo Brew official collaboration Moo Brew as well. I don't know why they need to put official collaboration on the label.
Someone been bootlegging their beers.
Yeah, from their Darker Days festival that Bright hold every year up in Highland, Victoria. This is their India Brown Ale. I'd like to point out that we don't plan what beers we pick now, so it's kind of fun that Pete and I both picked a brown ale for this one. It is a solid, malty, rich brown ale. It pours a very nice. It's a little bit more, I guess, see-throughable than it would show on the camera there. But you get, the thing I love about black IPAs, and it's got, it's that rich malt, and then you got that heaps of that piney, kind of notes coming through. I guess being a brown ale, it's just a little bit dialed back on that roastiness. But you're still getting heaps of those piney hop note characters. They said they used Nelson, Motueka, and Kohatu, which is a hop I've never heard of. Dan's muted, so he probably can't tell us what that is.
Yeah,
why is everything? That's the second
in New Zealand. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, I was just going to quickly say that's the second word in this episode that reminds me of the name of the spell from Evil Dead 3 that he mispronounces and coughs.
Clash of Vorax.
Yes, that's. Sorry,
yeah, you're getting heaps of those that citrusy pine notes through the hops, so it's coming through quite nicely. It's just like the black, when it's a black IPA, it's just more of that roastiness, and it's just that's kind of what I want from this. I'm actually just trying to think. I know I've had one before, but I can't think of the last time I had an India brown ale this. I love a good solid brown ale. In fact, my favorite brown ale of all time has to be the New England Grandad Brown. It's beautiful. I mean, there's also Newcastle Brown, which whenever we're in Boston, that's pretty much all I drink. The good old Newkie Browns. But just the solid.
Boston Brewing do a brown too, don't they? That's part of their core range. Sure, I've had a Boston Brewing brown.
Oh, Sam Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Sandman, they do a really good like winter seasonal. They do a couple of different styles of brown in there too. Anyway, that's not the Brighton Moo Brew. Yeah, this is really, really solid from two really good breweries. I'm gonna go give it a 4.5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's very, very tasty. If you see it, I recommend getting your hands on it. I think they did a Darker Days pack. I'm definitely going to try and hunt down the others. I'm going to have to look up and find out which ones they canned and released.
My fourth beer is giving me...
Night Terrors?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going with.
Like, obviously, I can't talk about it now because we've just finished talking about our third, but it's where, like, it's almost like there's chili, but it's almost given a metallic edge to the beer. It's odd. Anyway, let's talk about some trailer trash.
Metallic can be a fault, but yeah. So he's just going to scull the dregs of the can just to get that metallic taste out of his mouth.
I was successful in getting that metallic taste out of my mouth. Dan. All right, so first trailer for Trailer Trash is The Samaritan.
Yeah, I stumbled upon this the other week.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
I'd never heard of.
Literally stumbled into it.
It came up for me. It came up for me as a like a pre-YouTube video trailer. So it wasn't even what I was watching. It just came up as the ad before, and I'm like, okay, it was like 2.5 minutes or something. So the skip came up after 20 seconds, and I'm like, I'll let this play through, and let's just see where this rolls to.
That's right. I've got YouTube Premium. I don't get those ads anymore.
Yeah, I'm the same. This just randomly popped up in my when I searched for YouTube latest movie trailers, but I had no idea they were making it. So obviously, and it's out soon. It's 26th of this month, so in next week it comes out. Yeah, but it's a direct to Amazon Prime movie.
I was going to say it was one of the streaming services. Yeah,
isn't it funny how much society's changed? Because if you'd ever done a direct to VHS, it meant that the movie was an absolute piece of shit.
Crock of shit.
Right? Yeah. And now these days, Amazon are paying for their own movies, and the design from day one is to go direct to stream.
Yeah.
Just bizarre. So it's going to be interesting. To be honest, it gave me Unbreakable vibes.
Oh, 100%. 100%. That's exactly what I got.
I didn't get Unbreakable. I got old white version of Hancock.
Yeah.
Maybe not as like.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it's a little less alternate dark than Hancock, because Hancock was fucked up in all kinds of ways.
Yeah, I love that film.
I do too, but
yeah. But I got that because it's the washed up kind of beat up on himself ex superhero.
Yeah, but I guess you could do that from there's lots of movies that are like that. Yeah, Hancock,
it looks good.
That'd be an interesting movie
to
do a proper fucking retrospective of on the podcast, because there's some pretty specific themes in that movie beyond just the racial, like the obvious racial themes. There are racial themes in that movie, but also
was there?
Yeah, the depression and
that's what I got from it.
How fucked up life can be, and
PTSD and depression.
Yeah.
Alcoholism.
Really layered themes in that movie. It's not a simple movie, but no, Samaritan, to me, I just got Unbreakable all the way through. Just doesn't want to be a hero. I don't know how the movie's going to go. It's directed by somebody who's directed nothing. So it's almost a directorial debut. I'm surprised that Sylvester Stallone signed on to a film.
An Australian screenwriter
for a director
Julius Avery.
Yeah, so he wrote the screenplay and he directed. And he's directed like 2 films. And they've not been well-known films. So to get an A-list Hollywood
Overlord
actor from the 80s.
I always wanted to watch that. It looks stupid.
But it's
Overlord.
like a battle.
Yeah.
Overlord's great.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that's the World War II?
Yeah.
It's fucking Wolfenstein. It is.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's fucking great. It's completely fucking batshit crazy.
It's got Wyatt Russell in it. I love Wyatt Russell.
By the time you get to the
creep
end,
in this one?
I can't remember. I don't know who White Russell is.
Kurt Russell's
Oh,
son.
he's the
Bad
ginger.
Captain America.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's Bad Captain America. Is he a creep? No, I don't think he is. From
Wow.
memory.
Oh, no, I definitely need to watch then because I've never seen him in anything that's not him being a creep.
I'm totally going to watch this too. Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
That's
it's like no word of a joke. It's fucking Wolfenstein. It's
Sick.
if the guys hadn't played like all of the Wolfenstein games coming up to this point, then like they need to get sued for stealing shit.
Wasn't Operation Overlord an actual? That's probably what it's named after, right? But that was a J.J. Abrams film
Well, the poster for this has J.J. Abrams' name
from
on it.
producer J.J. Abrams. Yeah.
But
It's
he
really
directed
interesting,
it.
but he didn't direct it. Yeah, Julius Avery directed it.
Yeah,
I don't know what
remember
Abrams.
hearing a operation in front of it. I only ever know.
No. So Operation Overlord was a World War II major. Hang on, I'm sure Operation Overlord was the name of like one of the invasions of Omaha Beach or something like that.
So
Like,
a proper something.
it was the code name for the Battle of Normandy. There you go.
Gotcha.
So that
There you
was the invasion of Germany. Cool. So that looks really interesting. Then we got a trailer for. Was there anything else anyone wanted to say on Samaritan?
Nope.
Bro,
Yeah,
just
it
force
just
us forward.
it looked like there was some other elements going on in the world rather than just being a standard. Like Hancock's very. I'm sorry, I'm just using Hancock as an example because it came up, and I guess Unbreakable is as well. It's a very real world environment with the superhero dropped in, but this seemed like there was a lot of other things going on. Like it almost was starting to
There's
go
civil unrest and
dystopian,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
the grenade he throws back at the guy at the end of the trailer does this weird shit on the other side of the car, and it just there's definitely something else going on in that world.
Slightly
And-
futuristic, like
Yeah.
like cyberpunky almost.
Almost
Yeah.
Children of Men kind of civil unrest.
Yeah, but a little more sci-fi than Children of Men. Yeah.
Fuck, I need to go back and rewatch that movie. It's one of my favorites, and I keep reminding myself, and I haven't seen it in years. John Wick Chapter 4 looks just like Chapter 3 and Chapter 2 and Chapter 1.
Yeah.
I'll watch it.
No, I got to disagree with you there because 2 and 3 were very much alike. 1 was very different.
One was very different.
Because it was the first?
No, because
No?
of the
Okay.
themes throughout.
That was a
it.
question.
No, so once you got to 2, there was a lot more.
Stock standard action.
Well, so it's an upping of the scale, and it had to. Then every other film had to up
But it doesn't.
those set pieces.
But there was a lot of bullshittery going on. I know bullshittery is not a word, but it was a lot of
Should
bullshittery
be.
going on.
Should be.
With the fucking jacket, like his bulletproof fucking tuxedo, and
Yeah.
1 was quite grounded.
Yeah.
I say
I
that
don't
in
think they-
very loose quotation marks, but two stepped it up to the world of assassins, where I know there was the Continental and all the assassins were there in 1 as well, but the bullshittery really did get like scaled up in 2 and 3, and 4 seems like an extension of 2 and 3, as where 1 can just still stand alone as a movie.
Yeah, because one's just its own film, and then 2 and 3 are just like, well, this went really well. We should do more of it, but then
Yeah.
make it more.
No, I disagree. So one of the comments we made on the podcast in the very early days. I mean, John Wick was released in 2014, so it's not like we were recording podcasts 5 years. The show is
Yeah.
so we started in like 2017, 2016.
16, 17.
Yeah. But we did talk about John Wick as if it was a review, and one of the cool things that we talked about was it alluded to a subculture that was a lot more layered than just a standard action film. I think 2 and 3 went the wrong direction. They had to explore that subculture of assassins linked to the Continental. I just think they turned it into kind of bog standard, generic action movie shit with the way that they explored it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
that's what
Two
I-
and 3 feel the same.
I am agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I don't think
I
they
am
ever.
agreeing with you, but you opened with, no, I need to disagree.
No, I need to disagree
That's
with.
where we're all confused.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I disagree with Tom in the sense that when you said They did one movie and they said, "Oh, this is really successful. We'll have to make some more."
Oh, that was an offhand.
I think they were always planning on doing more than one film.
No, they weren't.
I have nothing to
plans.
back that comment up with either. I just made that offhand.
I'd be surprised if that's what.
No, from what I understand, the one was meant to be just a one and done thing, and then it turned into this fucking enormous hit and revitalized.
Well, it became
Keanu
a cult
Reeves.
classic almost instantly.
Yeah. And it
For the same
turned
reasons
into
that the original
something else.
Matrix was great.
And they did exactly the same thing. I mean, like being aside that they're both
So
Keanu Reeves
Keanu's at
movies.
fault here because he's the
but
common
he's
denominator.
not. No, he's not. So the director is. So the director of John Wick Chapter 4 is also the director from the original John Wick, who also directed Matrix: Sad Directions. So
Oh yeah,
he's
that's
linked
great,
back
Pete.
into Matrix.
How long? When did you come up with that?
I don't know, like an hour ago. Every time I say that the name of the movie, I change it slightly.
Yeah,
It's never
No,
gonna
I think
vary.
Sad Erections is like absolutely spot on for the
still haven't seen that
feeling
thing.
of that
You
movie.
guys are, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm too scared to watch that film because of the way you two have talked about it.
Honestly, it is an absolute travesty.
Yeah,
it's
is.
like watching Caravan of Courage after watching Star Wars. It really is that fucking bad. It doesn't.
Caravan of Courage. Still
No, I think
has
my
its
fear
own
is that I'll
merits,
just be
though.
like, I'll go into it knowing how bad it is, and then I'll just sit there and be like, oh, I can watch it though.
The worst part is if
I
they had,
guarantee you won't be able to, Tom.
if they
Okay, good, because
hadn't,
that's my big fear is that I'll be like, oh yeah, explosions, cool fights, sweet.
Yeah.
no, none of the above.
Good.
None of
'cause
the
that's,
above.
that's literally the thing that stopped me from watching it so far is the fear that I'll be like, oh, I don't know, shamed.
No,
Lawrence
no,
Fishburne
what
is
am I
also
talking
as
about?
as common a denominator as Keanu in those two IPs, by the way, between John Wick and
Was he in number one?
and
Is he number one?
no, he started in number 2, I think, as the rat,
My point
the
stands. It's
master
just
of
Keanu.
rats, or
Pigeons?
the king of the rats,
King of the Rats, yeah.
king of the,
The Beggar
pigeons,
King.
of the rats,
The
yeah, the
Beggar
beggar king. That's it. Yeah, fuck Matrix 4. If they had taken the piss out of themselves instead of
We're not doing it again.
very
We're not doing it again. Stop. We've done it
it
enough.
makes me angry.
No, we're talking about
makes
John
me
Wick.
angry.
We're talking about John Wick.
Okay, fair enough. John Wick 4 looks generic. It's like Fast and Furious 36. It's just keep on cashing in, and I think that's a real shame.
Yeah. I didn't.
Well, we'll
like,
find out when it's released.
I didn't particularly
Maybe
like
not.
3. I didn't particularly like 2.
The
But-
Perianum.
Yeah, that was 3, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes.
Parabellum. Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you were saying, Peter. Yes, it was the taint of the John Wick movies.
John Wick 3. The Devil's Out.
Taint.
It's right where the shit gets smeared. No, it's just 3 is no good. 3 is, I think the character of Halle
They
Berry.
could have done so much more with it.
Oh,
Because
and
I thought Halle Berry was sick in that.
Halle
There
Berry
are
was
elements-
great, and
Yes.
the motivations of her character for wanting to stay out of his shit completely got forgotten within like 10 seconds of her going, no, got my daughter to think about, don't want any of your shit, and then like 2 minutes later they're out there with the fucking dogs tearing off people's nutsacks. Like,
that was the
it's just-
2 Dobermans, wasn't it?
German Shepherds?
Didn't they attack the dogs? Wasn't that the thing? And that's why she was like, all right, fuck this, I'm
Yeah.
in.
The guy
Oh no,
threatened
you're
to
right. They're
kill
German
them.
Shepherds.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The-
I don't know why I remembered them as Dobermans. They didn't even have bob tails. Anyway, random. It's on random. Shall we move on from John Wick 4?
I don't know. Should we? Anyway, well, I want to hear what you guys. Brought up the Shazam trailer last episode, but
So John Wick 4's expected in March next year. So it's miles away. Shazam: Fury of the Gods is expected at Christmas this year. So they've just released an extended trailer for that. I'm more excited to watch Shazam 2 than I am to watch Black Adam.
Black
Yeah,
Adam
that's fair.
can just fuck off and die. Like, just it's
No,
so,
it's because
so
the
irrelevant.
Rock has built it up so much, it's never going to meet the expectations he is promising.
It's going to be a rock movie. It's going to be as good and as bad as the movie about the really tall building in Singapore that fell down while he was in it.
And
Skyscraper.
he had one leg. He had one leg, but he had two legs. But he had one leg.
I'm guessing that neither of you have watched.
Right at the start, he just beats the shit out of some guy with it, and that was the only reference that was ever really in the movie about him having one leg.
That's all you need.
Oh, come on. Would have been cooler if he'd ripped the dude's leg off and beat him to death with his own leg. At least that... Anyway, carry on, Tom.
I was going to say, have you... I'm guessing neither of you have watched the DC Super Pets animated film.
No.
Not yet. No.
No.
I will.
I have not. I have not, but the Rock spoiled the after credits scene, which I'm sure you might have seen.
No.
He posted on his Instagram pretty much the day after it got released in cinemas. So this is going out there. It's getting recorded. The Rock's a spoily bitch.
That's pretty fucked.
Like after our... Actually, no. I don't think it was after our... I think it was well before that. I unfollowed The Rock on social media.
I want to try his tequila. That's about the only reason I still follow him. Anyway, so he's already spoiled it, so I'm going to spoil it for everyone else. In the post-credit scene, Superman and Krypto are playing with a Batman squeezy toy in the park, playing fetch. Superman throws the toy, Krypto goes to run and pick it up, and then suddenly the toy's disappeared with a black blur goes past it, and it ends up being Anubis, who is the dog of Black Adam. And so The Rock is voicing Black Adam, Anubis, and Krypto. I'm pretty sure he does Krypto's voice in it.
Yeah, he does do Krypto, yeah.
But it's all like his thing is like, this is the closest we're going to get to seeing Black Adam versus Superman. And it's like, isn't Black Adam a side character who's never really done much in the comics?
He's a big character. Yeah. He's a big character in the Shazam kind of universe.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah,
but Shazam's a side fucking character in the DC universe.
The funniest thing
he's the bad guy of the side character.
Well, in the little clip, it's Krypto and Anubis basically talking. But they're talking about how Black Adam's an anti-hero and how cool it is it's an anti-hero. And it's kind of him taking the piss out of himself and the character he's like idolizing. But this
is what's wrong with DCEU. It's too driven. So the movies we've got are too driven by individual character and actor egos and not enough about the broader tapestry that's supposed to be the universe. We've said this a million times. DC Comics are better than Marvel Comics in terms of the depth of their characters, the depth of the darkness in their characters. They're more interesting characters to explore, generally speaking, between the two sets of comics. Why do we have amazing Marvel movies and shit DC movies when it's opposite, when you look at the actual content that they're drawing?
Well, because we have good DC movies. We don't have good connected DC movies. Because you look at the Dark Knight trilogy. The Dark Knight trilogy is amazing, but it's its standalone thing.
But it was but it's its own trilogy. Yeah, exactly. It's its own trilogy where they just happen to license the Batman suit. Like
basically, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. They're not doing good connected films, like a Universal film. Yeah, that kind of thing. That's just where they just can't seem to get it right.
And it's for 20 years of trying. Like they should have accidentally found somebody to head that shit up successfully by now. Anyway, I just
instead of the steaming train wreck that they're in, got themselves into.
Statistically speaking, they should have failed into it. But they picked a fucking kitty fiddler to play one of their lead, like
pivotal.
Resurrect our series, please. Yeah. And there's nothing they could have done to know that was going to be the way that it unfolded.
But there has to be somebody within these studios that is a vetting process. There has to be someone that goes like.
Have you ever seen anyone on TV who says?
Yes, I've seen someone on TV before.
Who says I knew my neighbor was a serial killer? They always get on TV and say I had no idea. He was so quiet and nice. You never fucking know who the crazies are, man. That's just the way the world works.
I don't know. I've let go of a few people where I was like, you're going to stab me one day.
But they're not the proper full-on serial killers. They're just the crazies that...
Not that I know about yet.
Anyway, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, expected around Christmas this year, directed by David F. Sandberg, who's really done Shazam 1, Lights Out, Annabelle Creation, a few other James Wan-style horrors, and not a whole lot more. I'm surprised Helen Mirren signed on for
It's the only reason I'm watching this film.
Yeah. Lucy Liu's pretty cool. I haven't seen her in much lately.
But Helen
She's
Mirren.
in this one. Yeah, I know. You've talked about your heart on for Helen Mirren.
So I just want to. I chucked into Google
Helen
Superman.
Mirren? Oh, it's a good time.
Superman versus Black Adam, expecting to see like multiple comic books where they've gone head to head.
I think there's one crossover.
It kind of looks like there's a couple of panels. There's like scattered between the fan art of Henry Cavill and The Rock punching each other.
I think that's more like fucking teen.
That's just the Rock drawing that
teen
too.
fan fiction.
There's I think that there's a couple of panels here that just look like they're from they look like the same artist, so it looks like it's from the same fight. So it looks like it's just been a single.
It's not from
time.
DeviantArt, is it?
Oh,
It's not some dodgy fucking fantasy, sexualized fantasy.
Yeah. You know what? I'm surprised the Rock hasn't signed himself up to be the next what's the dude from The Watchmen? That's the
Mr. Manhattan.
The blue Mr.
No.
Dr. Manhattan.
Bluecock. Dr.
That,
Bluecock.
is the
Dr.
total
Bluecock.
the overall arching manipulator of the entire
Yeah.
DC universe. I'm surprised he hasn't
He basically has, though. The way he talks about it, he basically has.
Yeah, maybe.
Anyway, I don't know how we're so hung up, and it's not just you, Dan. We are so hung up on Black Adam. We haven't really talked about Shazam 2. I'm actually looking forward to the movie. I didn't mind the first film. It was unexpectedly good in places and very expected in other places, but it wasn't a bad movie. It didn't take itself too seriously, and I liked that it didn't because we were getting so many very serious comic book movies at the time. It's a bit of fun. And Zachary Levi...
It was a bit of fun. It was, yeah.
Zachary Levi is a genuinely funny dude who I always
I like
think
that they've improved the suit this time, though.
He's noticeably aged too. I know it's been 3-4 years since the first one, but he looks different.
Well,
I think he's
he had
bulked
time.
up.
He had time to bulk up for this. So
I think he's
the suit
genuinely
before
bulked up.
looked like someone had put an air pump into it.
It's a
just
muscle
before he
suit.
walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's actually him.
Yeah. Before we move on from Trailer Test,
it's
though,
it's much more form fitting.
Yes. Did we do Andor on a previous episode?
Oh,
yes, we did.
No, not the newest trailer. I don't think we have we?
No, we did trailer 17. We haven't done trailer 18. No, I'm sure like 1 or 2 episodes ago we talked about it because they did the big drop.
That's because there was the celebration, Star Wars celebrations.
We did the celebrations drop and we did that trailer then.
Okay.
They might have released another trailer since. I'm not sure.
Oh no, it was more. I just couldn't remember if we'd done the big one that dropped recently. Okay,
we did. Yeah, I got jack of dealing with copyright fucking claims, so I didn't actually include the trailer in the YouTube video.
All right,
the life of a podcast editor.
Game trailer. Alone in the Dark.
Yeah, Alone in the Dark. Wasn't that a side scroller, Dan, back in the 80s?
No. It was a full 3D adventure game. Like it was the first. Could have been PS3. It was probably the first one.
Before that, bro.
Yeah, the first one was released in like 93.
92.
Oh, sorry. Alone in the Dark 2 was the first one I played. I never played Alone in the Dark 1. I played
and
Alone
it was
in
an
the Dark 2.
MS-DOS game.
Yeah. So this is like it says survival horror. I don't think it was because like it was just there was no survival element to it. Well, what we understand as survival these days. But it was great. Like, I mean, this was my first introduction to like a Lovecraftian world where weird shit fucking happens. And this was old school, no tutorials, like no online shit, no like, hey, this is how the game works. We got multiple puzzles throughout this entire game. And there was no tutorial to tell you controls on how to play puzzles or anything like that. It was just.
But Dan, this was back in the days when instead of Googling like where to find all of the collectibles, you'd have to buy like the latest PlayStation magazine.
Oh, it was probably even. Oh,
Who's playing audio?
Thomas.
Whoops.
Yeah,
yes, I am using headphones, Thomas.
When I first played Alone in the Dark 2, like it was
my headphones.
polygoned. It was great. I mean, like it was fucking hard. It was a hard game, and I loved it. And I'm absolutely thrilled that they've gone back to the IP, and that it feels like they're remaking the original, which I never played. So if it's the same story, it's a new story for me. So
I know that I've played both games, but because I'm looking at screenshots and I have
of them.
I've had recollections. I have recollections of the first two games, but I couldn't tell you anything about them.
Yeah, I remember there was one point that you went into a kitchen in the mansion in Alone in the Dark 2, and you just would get smashed. And the whole idea was you would go to the second floor and drop something down, like a grenade down the chimney, or the dumbwaiter that would go down to the kitchen and
it was
kill
a dumbwaiter.
a couple of people in the kitchen, and then you could start that part of the area of the mission. There was a hedge maze. There was firing a fucking little miniature, like,
you've got good memory
tinderbox,
considering you were
little
11.
tinderbox cannon. Oh, I would have played that a lot. Like, it just because in those days. Sorry, Tom, I'm gonna young shame you. We just had to, and I actually guess you've brought this up.
Anyway,
yeah,
frankly.
you've brought this up many a times as well. Is you just play things because you play them because that's all you've got. You've got no way of learning anything more about this game other than just sitting there and trying every single permutation of control that they give you to get through something. Like you had to think outside the box in those days.
Did I finish my thought that you had to buy the PlayStation magazine or I can't remember the names of the like PC Gamer magazine?
I reckon it would have even before those times.
Well, PC Gamer was definitely out when we were like preteens. So that was a magazine that used to publish the solutions to puzzles for video games.
Yeah, you used to have to,
like give you walkthroughs and maps and that sort of stuff.
Certain things that you could never find or to have secrets revealed. It'd come in the Nintendo mag that you.
It's kind of pre-Google.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I haven't seen much of the new trailer. I'll have to watch that because that came out of the THQ Nordic.
Yeah. It's a bit of a rough trailer. Like some of the CGI cinematic stuff's a little bit janky. Super disturbing how it starts off. And it actually had a really Evil Within feel to it, which I guess thinking back of those old games and bringing them forward to a Lovecraftian third-person shooter set in the 1920s, you're going to get a lot of Evil Within vibes from it as well. But I'm really looking forward to it. Detective noir in fucking Lovecraftian 1920s America. Give it to me.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about our fourth beer?
Yep.
About to crack it.
Before we kind of finish with our spotlight that'll merge once again for the second episode in a row into our Are You Winning Son segment. Dan, do you want to go first, mate? I can't go first. All four beers.
I have.
No, Dan, make him go first. Make him go first. It'll be funny.
Well, okay. Go first, Pete.
You random fucks. Brick Lane Brewing.
Yeah, winner, Yahtzee.
This is one of the new Trilogy of Fears for 2022. I've got
that
the other
first
two in the
Trilogy of
fridge.
Fear series was fucking.
Well, that was
great.
our Dark Knight in 2021, wasn't it? I'm sure we did the Trilogy of Fear in our Dark Knight episode.
Because I've still got all three in my fridge of the first ones.
Oh, dude, nice.
I'm saving them.
Yeah, no, I'm totally behind that. So this is their 2022 version of the Trilogy of Fear. This is Brick Lane Hush Little Baby, which is a
creepy
listed as a Voodoo Imperial Stout at 11.1%. It's part one.
It's got what,
Forged,
like fucking agave or something in it to be a voodoo?
Forged in the shadows of the
Mexican,
bayou.
not Haitian, so well done.
Forged in the shadows of the bayou. Gentle coaxing of cypress. Gentle coaxing of cypress and Papuan vanilla. Found beyond the forbidden edges of the map, chances are... What? What?
Peter can read.
Found? Yes, but I'm not comprehending.
By pixels and bytes.
I am blindly reading. Found beyond the forbidden edges of the map, chances awakening the quiet one. Okay.
Very Cthulhu-ish as well.
Yeah, it kind of is. So this is the beer that I mentioned right when I first cracked it, that it tasted quite metallic. I don't know what that was from because it's since disappeared. I'm quite pissy though, I have to say. I'm halfway through that 375ml can, 500ml can. My apologies. Well, it's a Brick Lane.
Danger, Will Robinson.
It had what tasted like chili. So I need to get online and find out if it has chili in it.
I mean, going with the bayou kind of southern feel, like that makes sense.
It is sweet as for it's got a real sweetness to the after, at the end of the palate. Jesus, I've lost my ability to English. But it's got quite a forward, like a chili forward hit. It doesn't mention anything online about it. Aged on cypress and whole Papuan vanilla. Papuan vanilla? To give a
Papuan?
Vanilla... No, it's not Papuan. It's Papuan, as in Papua New Guinea.
Oh.
To give a vanilla aroma expressed as earthy, complex, and almost oud-like, complemented with resinous and herbal notes of juniper, Scots pine, and almost ether-like sweetness from the cypress heartwood.
Yeah, right.
Don't say a word, lest you awaken the quiet one. That is very fucking Cthulhu. I'm giving it 5, and I'm going to stop talking because I've lost my ability to English, but it's a fucking spectacular imperial stout. The end. Signing off,
good.
Pete.
I also have a imperial stout. I have the La Popular Takira.
Takiera.
There you go. I don't know what that is. I just Googled it and I couldn't find out what it was.
It'd be a taco restaurant, I'm assuming.
Oh, that's what came up. That's what I thought it was, and I'm like, nah, it can't be that. Because there's one in Camaret, and I didn't think that was right for a South Australian brand. But anyway, Private Life, the Choc Bourbon Barrel Aged Mole Negra Imperial Stout at 12.5%. Super chocolatey, probably a little sweet for my taste, but Imperial Stouts are meant to be sweet anyway. Like the bourbon barrel character is like just fucking spot on. Like it's really super present, but not dominating and overpowering all the other flavors. The chocolatey stout characters really roll through, and it it's fairly like dark chocolate, liquidy chocolate with that extra little bit of sweetness there as well. So nice, really, really good, really good. Yep.
Out of 5?
And I've now got a very warm flush to my face. We'll go 4.5 for that one.
4.5. Okay. 4.5 out of 5. Tomo.
I have not done a stout because I think I'm still recovering from that the glorious purpose the other night, that Deeds 12.5% cherry imperial. Oh, that was liquid
cherry imperial
alcoholic
stout.
cherry ripe. Oh, it was so
really?
chocolatey and so cherry and glorious purpose. Very low-key-ish. That can label's going on the side of the fridge. That's one I'm definitely going to save. But what I'm having now is another collaboration beer. It is Hop Nation and Mountain Culture. Quick jazz, as opposed to all that slow jazz that I usually croon to. It is an oat cream IPA at 6.8%. And this one was apparently it's part 2 of a series. The dual release. Right. So this one was done at Hop Nation. So Mountain Culture went to Hop Nation, and then there's another one I've guessed that they've done, which is Hop Nation at Mountain Culture. They've double dry hopped this with Citra Cryo, El Dorado Cryo, Sabro Cryo, and T90 Nelson and then they used the same English ale yeast strain that they both tend to use, both these breweries. They said they'd love to share more deets, but you know what they say, what happens on the peninsula stays on the peninsula. I'm getting heaps of like peach and apricot notes. It pours, it's thick. That is a thick bitch.
Yeah.
That is.
Need a fucking spoon to drink it, mate.
So chunky you can carve it. It is, it's quite soft. You get like, I'm not the biggest fan of oat cream IPAs. I find like a lot of that like lactosey notes, that super sweet, just becomes a bit syrupy, and that's like, especially towards the bottom of the glass, you're just like, well, I paid for it, so I can't throw it out. That is one of my biggest problems. It's just like I can't do it. I finished what I started, damn it, because that's what Dad did and what Granddad did and what we'll keep doing, and that's the war, baby. It's good. It's probably not the best IPA I've ever had from either of those breweries, but it is a fun way to see them, because you can almost taste both of their styles. It's not that they're clashing together, but you see different notes from the way that if having tasted a bunch of their especially like New England style IPAs that both these breweries do. I always found Hop Nation Neepa's definitely had a bit more of that hop burn coming through.
Oh yeah,
on the top.
Jedi Juice is, it's not a sessionable beer.
I've got
in my
that
experience.
hop burn in the back of my throat right now. But the body that usually you get from, and that like really like pillowy mouthfeel that you get from a mountain culture beer is coming through as well. So it's like, I'd be really interested to see like how much went into the planning process from each brewery, and like was it that mountain culture brought down the malt bases that they used, or like specifically picked that, but then Hop Nation picked what hops and how often the hops went in terms of the brewing process. So I guess that's the coolest part about this beer, is knowing both breweries and the way they brew their beers, seeing how they kind of adapt.
I was going to say, was that Jasper or?
We're well past walk time. He has been very good, but he's.
Oh, you haven't taken him for walkies?
No, we go for like an hour. So yeah, no. Don't say the W word. He'll hear you. It's good. It's still a tasty beer, but it's just like, it's when you get it's the different styles of both kind of clashing, and it's setting off a little thing in my brain.
You've got to pay respect to mountain culture. They are the kings of Neepas in Australia at the moment.
100%.
Have been for well over 18 months. Yeah. And yet they do a shit ton of collabs. Shit ton of them. Like that's
it's more that other breweries just want to work with them.
Want a piece of the action. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah.
I think it's quite grounded. It shows that they're not full of themselves, in my opinion.
No, I mean, if you ever meet DJ, he's a loose unit for one, but he's also just a very down-to-earth dude who's like especially the fans, because
he's on my top 5 list of brewers, like head brewers, to get on the podcast. I just don't think you'd ever find any time for him to, like, he would never find any time to come on.
But yes, Mountain Culture definitely have some maniacal fans that follow like their every release and are there like to wait to pick them up as soon as they finish canning. And he just always seems to have the most time of day for him, which is a testament to his character. That said, though, I'm going to give this one a 4. The only reason I probably wouldn't have rated it higher is because I'm getting that mentally kind of jarring. Well, it's that weird jarring between the two brewery styles.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's just throwing me off just a tiny bit. Yeah.
I can understand what you meant by the hop burn too, because I made the mistake of going to I went camping for a long weekend and bought a case of Jedi Juice. That was the beer that I brought.
Wow. It's ambitious.
Can I just say, that is not a sessionable beer. After 2 or 3, your throat just starts going
6.3
6.8 or
yeah, it's up there.
It wasn't the ABV that got me. It was the burn. It was just, it destroyed my palate.
Yeah.
Absolutely destroyed my palate. It was just after it renamed itself to J Juice. Anyway.
There we go.
Let's talk about our spotlight.
Games we abandoned.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of last episode,
It's
Oh,
probably-
I've got one that I've been. It still haunts me to this day.
You talk about that. I'm just going to quickly go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Yep.
You do need to go to the bathroom too? I can
No,
entertain you. I can-
the whole I just to the general listener, the whole reason I thought of this and suggested it, Pete. I thought you were peeing.
I'm going to. I want to hear this.
He's
because
got a bottle. He's got a bottle
Oh,
under the desk.
no,
He was
well,
just
I
taking
mean-
off his camera.
truckers, mate.
The whole. I mean, you guys know the point. Like why I thought of this and dropped it in the chat as a interesting spotlight is you guys are like crazy fanatical trophy hunters, and
Tom more than me. Tom more than me.
Oh yeah, definitely me.
No. Tom's got like 40 fucking platinums. I've got like 20.
40?
So-
Please, I'm about to get number 80.
Bitch, please. Yeah, there you go.
But didn't you get one recently, Pete, that was like ridiculous that you had to
Divinity.
Divinity,
yeah.
yes. So you were talking about Divinity, and I'm like, okay, well, what happens if
I enjoyed
was-
that threat. You know what's funny, Dan? Well, we talked about this. Sorry to cut you off there. It's just
That's all right. You do it like 3 or 4
I've
times
been-
every episode.
I've
so
been
it's
tr-
just it's fine. no, just cut it. Just
He
go
needs
on.
to pee.
Okay.
He actually, I think a little bit of pee came out. He was laughing at her. No,
So,
it's,
okay,
it's
so
a
the
great,
whole-
it's a great topic to bring up. Yes.
The whole idea is that like you and Pete are trophy hunters. Like you do it, and like there's this fucking brain worm that sits in you until you've gotten this like you've gotten this platinum. And I do not have that in the slightest. I do not give a
108
fuck.
tries of that trial.
Yeah.
108.
Exactly. And it's just like I don't have that in the slightest.
No.
It doesn't bother me. I don't look at it. And then so listening to you guys and like trying to rewire myself to getting to that, it just came to me the other day. It's like okay, so like what's something that's been either so bad or so frustrating that might have been enjoyable or interesting that you've gotten to a point where you've gone, no, I cannot play this anymore, and I just have to shelve that platinum kind of thing. I cannot
And we're
continue
not
playing
referring
this
to
game.
multiplayer in this because
No, no.
multiplayer trophies suck the perennium.
Yeah. It's about a storyline that or a main story of something that you never finished because of XYZ reasons.
So I'll start by saying the way I did like kind of research in this because Pete's back. Excellent. I can go straight into it. I have my PS Trophies app and I could pull up which I could.
it's exactly
order
what
it.
I'm doing to figure out what
but I could order it
abandoned.
based on completion rates. So I went from put 0 first, and there's a bunch of games that like I've either started and been like I'll come back to that someday. Like Godfall is a game I bought with the PS5, and it was kind of Destiny-esque, except it was swords. It was swords and high fantasy instead of guns and sci-fi. And it's like one of those ones that still in the back of my mind, I'm like, I'll play that someday. Like I'll go back and play it. It's like, in terms of the way I think about it, I'm like, it's an easy plat. Like the idea of the game was good. It was just, there were a lot better games at the time. The one game I've never gotten over. Well, actually, there's two. There's two I've never gotten over. Skyrim bugged out of me in the Thieves Guild quest, so I never got the plat for that on the PS3. And that's always kind of like, it is the Tony Stark shrapnel going closer and closer to my heart, like every day. And it sits there and it mocks me. It looks at me as I try to sleep. I see the platinum trophy there and it just slowly moves back. It's like chasing a fucking rainbow. Anyway, moving on. That's why I go to therapy. Purely for Skyrim. No, Driver San Francisco. So this was on the PS3. I remember I was in my share house in Marsfield with my two mates, Pat, both named Pat. And
That's going to
weird.
get confusing.
Pat and Pat, or Foley and Schooner, as were their names. And we had a house Xbox that we all played together. Basically, it was Call of Duty Zombies. That's the only thing we played together. But then I had my PS3 in my room, and I remember the exact night. I was playing Driver San Francisco. My girlfriend at the time was coming over, and she's like, "I'll be at your house in like half an hour, and then we're going to like see a movie or we're doing something." Just I know you're playing games all afternoon. Make sure you're ready to go by the time I get there. And I went, sure. 25 minutes goes past. She's like, I'm 5 minutes away. And I was like, yeah, I'm just finishing this mission. Just finishing this mission. And then, sure enough, 15 minutes later, she's sitting in my room going, can you hurry the fuck up? We've got to go. And I'm like, yeah, no. I'm literally finishing the mission. Like, look, I can see the end point. And, Drive of San Francisco, very GTA-esque, but it had a single-player mission focus thing. Driving, can see the point that I need to get to, and then shut down. Like, PlayStation shut off, error message. And I was like, that's fucking annoying. I'm going to have to go back and do the whole thing. We go out, do whatever we were doing. I was like, well, that's convenient for you. All right, let's go. We can do your thing now.
Convenient for you to spend time with your boyfriend.
I was busy.
Bad person, you.
I've changed. I've grown as a man. Anyway, came back later that night. Foley and Schooner were home. They were playing Call of Duty on the couch. I walked in and they were like, "Oh, do you want to play?" I was like, "No, I had to go back and refinish this mission. I'll finish that and then I'll come out and join. And we'll have some beers and we'll play until 4 a.m. because that's what we did when we were early 20s." Went in, pressed the button on my PlayStation, nothing. It's like, oh, that's weird. Checked the PowerPoint, went back in, pressed the button on my PlayStation, nothing. It had crashed so hard it bricked my PS3.
Oh.
Wow. That will kill the desire to play the game.
Yep. And it was like there was 5 minutes of panic. And then I went through all 6 stages of acceptance of grieving, 5 stages of grieving. Yeah. I'm pretty sure a controller went not through a window, an open window, but a controller ended up in the backyard that was just like out of frustration. Nothing could be done. I went to get it serviced. They were like, "Nah, something's gone wrong, and it's just fried itself." But
I'm waiting for my PS5 to do that.
It was
due to overheat.
Fucking game, and I was only like 4 missions in. Like that's what I double checked. I was like, "Yep, get up to mission 4." That was the 14th of October, 2011.
It records it on your PlayStation network.
Oh no, in the app it tells you the last time you played it. But yeah, 8:30 p.m.
Oh man.
So that is, for me, is the game that and if they make a remake, I'm not touching it. I'm not even looking at it because it broke my PS3 and I've never been so heartbroken. That was, luckily at the time I was working at EB Games, so I got a very cheap PS3 like 2 days later. So there was one day of just like shakes where I was like, I can't. What do I do? Do I go outside? Is there sunlight? What is this?
Did it break the cycle for you though? Just the forced break.
Well, I wasn't trophy hunting back then, but no, it made me crave gaming more.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I just went out and played Xbox for the next 2 days straight. God, that's a bad controller. Jeez, it's just
I agree.
That
it feels
fat Xbox 360 controller.
It feels chunky in the hand. I've never. I bought an Xbox before I ever owned a PlayStation, so I went the opposite direction to most people. And
that was the 2 games that really stick with me. I've got a bunch of games that I've like started and played and never bothered. Like back when I was mid-20s and going out every other night, I was just like, I know. I honestly regret it now. I was like, I should have played more games during those golden years of like uni, especially uni time. I was like, I don't really have to do shit. Like I'm still, I'm paying minimal rent and not really caring
and
about
have
my
minimal
job.
responsibility.
Yeah, I should have been playing every single game. I think the only other game that I do regret not finishing was one of the Transformers Cybertron games. Don't remember those.
I think these were games that we abandoned though because.
No, this is one I abandoned. I just stopped playing. Like I never finished the story, and I regret that. Is definitely as a game that was like it was a really cool aesthetic. It was they made the Netflix series around it. If you've seen those animated Netflix Transformers.
No.
Yeah, so there's like this, they call it like the Cybertron, but it's all pre like G1, like being on Earth, all that kind of stuff. It's all on Cybertron. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, and I never I think I did the Autobots campaign, and I never finished the Decepticons campaign, and then never got. I just abandoned. Literally, just was like one day I was like, nah, I want to play something else. Like, just never picked up again. And looking back on it, I was like, that was a really good series, and I think they made a couple of others, but I never bought them.
Yeah,
There you go. That's a couple from me.
Pete, what were you going to say before you
No.
aborted, and
No, I do.
turn your
I do
camera
cut
off?
you. I cut you both off regularly. I try and stay consciously aware of it, and then I go and edit the episodes, and I always just want to punch myself for like, oh damn, I'm such a prick. I just cut straight across Dan. Anyway, no, you talk, mate. What games have you abandoned?
No, this was more about what you guys have done because you're the trophy hunters. I was interested more than anything else about. I've left fucking plenty of games for like bad mechanics, boring story, just fucking going nowhere kind of bullshit. So it was more about me going, how does the mind of a trophy hunter work when they can't handle a bad mechanic in a game any longer to suffer it to continue on?
I don't think I've ever gotten to that point. It's more.
I did. I've done that. Yeah. Clone Wars game. They did a Clone Wars TV series tie-in game.
Did they?
Yeah, years and years
Yuck.
and years ago. And I just remember the traversal mechanic. Like you were running around. The amount of times you jump and like platforming sections were just so frustrating. I barely did any of it. I think I did all the Anakin missions, and I was like, nah, I'm not going back and playing as Obi-Wan and Ahsoka. And that's Star Wars. That's me with Star Wars. Like,
Yeah, that's a big call.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I've got any of those games, Dan. I've had games where I've platinumed one game to play the sequel, and because of the amount of effort
I don't believe you've
you're-
never abandoned a game through a bad mechanic. You've never gotten halfway through a game. Or
I've
a
abandoned
quarter.
games, which I'm about to go into, but not because the game mechanics were flawed. More, I wasn't enjoying them, or I wasn't enjoying the repetitiousness after platinuming, getting the platinum trophy from the game that preceded it. So, if I look at my list of games where I bought the game with the intention of getting the platinum trophy and just gave up. The first one was Arkham City, and I gave up 1% of the way into the game. Not because there was any problem with the game, but because it was too similar to Arkham Asylum, which I'd literally just hit the platinum trophy on, and I'm just like, oh, this is just more of the same. I want to do something different. Just needs
So
to
you
feel
never
different.
finished Arkham City?
I got to the rooftop of the first fucking building, and that was it.
really? Oh, Arkham City was great.
But not because the
City is
game was
great.
flawed, and that was my point in what I was saying to
Yeah.
you, Dan. It was not because the game mechanics were flawed. It was because I'd
It was
already
just too much of the same thing at the same time. I
yeah,
think.
yeah. And when you're hunting a platinum trophy, you don't just play the game. You play the fuck out of the game repetitiously, like, until you hit the platinum. Last of Us, I never finished because I was playing on the hardest difficulty in a one playthrough platinum, and it was wasn't that it was impossibly difficult. It was slow progress, and then I think I went to the US for work, and I came back, and I'm just like, no, I just need an outlet. I need just a quick I need instant gratification. And Last of Us is not an instant gratification kind of game. And the third and final one is Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was going to ask if you'd gotten back to that.
Not because the game mechanics are flawed, but because I got too focused on wanting to get the platinum trophy in one playthrough, because I'm not the sort of person that tends to play through a game a second time. And
That is a big loss. That is a great game. I implore you to play it again.
I'm not giving up on it. I'm not saying that I'm never going to go back to it. I am saying
That's my boy.
I am saying that I got a hankering to play Divinity, which we'll talk about in a sec in Are You Winning Son, and then immediately went into a new game, which I guarantee you I will platinum and will completely absorb me until I do. But in terms of the core topic of games that we abandoned, Arkham City, Last of Us. And I regret both of them really badly.
Yeah, there's only a few games that I have not finished at least the main story. Whether or not it was down to a fault or a game mechanic, but there are a few of them. Like, I played the fucking Family Guy Back to the Multiverse game. I finished the story in that. That was an absolute pile of shit. But I fucking played the crap out of it.
There's games I've finished the story and not gone to do the platinum on because they've just annoyed the shit out of me. Like Red Dead.
Ooh.
Red Dead Redemption. I got every single player trophy there was, and it got to the online, and I just went, you know what? I don't need the platinum that badly. You guys are a bunch of fuckwits. I just can't be bothered. It was a prelude to GTA Online in terms of cheating and just griefing and bullshit.
Tom just thought of something.
Yeah,
the game, actually, the most recent game that it just came up as
abandoned.
I was like, oh yeah, that I abandoned, and this is how. So this is the stats that this app gives me. I played this game one time. I played it for 49 minutes and 46 seconds. It was literally first played the 20th of October, which is my little brother's birthday, in 2020 at 10:02 p.m. Last played 20th of October 2020, 10:45 p.m. Star Wars Squadrons.
Ah, yeah, okay, I can relate to that. Yep.
And that was purely because
that was the VR game, wasn't it?
No,
it could be VR.
Oh no,
it
that
was
was
standard.
Yeah,
could be both.
It was so technical on a controller that it was almost unplayable. EA designed that with a flight stick in hand, or like a, but
not in a flight simulator kind of way. Because if you go back, I maybe not. I don't know about you guys, but some of the original Amiga and MS DOS games, the flight simulator style games, dogfighting games like
Chuck Yeager's Air Combat. Fuck yeah.
F-15E Falcon, Apache. So it was AH-64D Apache was the name of the game. It was a highly technical game on. It must have been MS DOS. It was keyboard and mouse. You know, to turn your collective up, to raise the helicopter. It was. Those were extremely technical games, but they were fun because they were technical games.
Yeah, but this I kind
of been just because it was technical.
No. It was technical, but it would have been good if I wasn't using a controller. If I was using a flight stick and playing it on PC, I probably would have smashed through it. It was just
you can get a flight stick controller for PlayStation. I don't know about PS5, but you certainly can for PS4.
It was one of those things that was like, I'm not going back to this. It's like, because I'd done so much of the dogfighting in Battlefront 2 when I was platinuming that, to the point where I was actually like, this is fucking fun and I'm really enjoying it. This was just like, you were locked into the cockpit view, which I liked using in Battlefront, and they're both EA games, so they're both like published by EA. I think Squadrons was Respawn. No, it wouldn't have been Respawn. Can't remember who else was involved in it, but it was
Motive Studios.
That was it there. But I
didn't know that. I'm just looking it up.
But I'm pretty sure Motive were involved in Battlefront 2 as well, because they would have done all the space combat part of that. But it was just
the space combat in Battlefront was fun.
Battlefront 2, I fucking loved it. Like, I had to slog through it to get the plat, but it was worth it because it was a fun dogfighting experience. The Squadrons, though, I just couldn't get into it.
Yeah, so we talked about that game when it was announced, and when I think the trailer.
Well, that trailer they put out looked fucking sick, and then but this is the thing. Like Al, who we have in the chat, he's ranked in Squadrons. Like,
wow.
Yeah, he was talking. He dropped a thing in the chat about it. How he's ranked highly in Australia for it. Like, there's obviously people who still play it. And I'm sure that's the thing. On PC, it'd probably be fantastic.
You say still play it. It was only released... Oh, no. It was released 2 years ago. October 2020.
2 or 3 years.
Yeah. But that's definitely one that I didn't even bother going through the story. And it's like... It's X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, just made for a new generation. It's just EA fucked it.
But X-Wing versus TIE Fighter was a fucking brilliant game.
I'm saying that's...
I know.
What it should have been.
What it should have been.
This close to greatness. I'm going to quote Rogue One. Hey, welcome.
So I've got a couple to add here. Just and I mean, it's just, and this is the complete different mentality from you guys. I've never finished a Fallout game, never. Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. Never finished.
Interesting.
Fallout 4.
So
I
yeah,
abandoned Fallout 3. Yeah.
that's really interesting. So the comment I made, Dan, while you're away is the game. Well, actually, I think you were here. Games I've given up on were because I played 2 games of the same series back to back, and it's too much. If you're going to go platinum on one, take a break. I platinumed Fallout 3 and I platinumed Fallout 4, but I abandoned Platinum New Vegas in the middle. I abandoned Fallout New Vegas in the middle.
Yeah, and
for that reason.
I remember I tried to play Fallout 3 just after I couldn't finish Skyrim because of that glitched quest. And I was like, no.
I never played Skyrim. I played Skyrim VR. And I couldn't put it down.
Well, that's the thing. I loved Skyrim. Like, I played the shit out of it. But I don't know, something about the combat in Fallout, I just didn't get it. But then smashed through Fallout 4. I fucking loved it when I eventually played it.
Now, see, my first foray, is that the right term? Foray into the world of Bethesda.
Fallout?
Was Bethesda games was Oblivion. And James got me into Oblivion when we were living together. That was my first touch on Oblivion, and first touch on Bethesda and Elder Scrolls games.
Yep.
Was Oblivion. Played all the way through Oblivion, fucking loved it. Then obviously Fallout 3
Patrick Stewart was the Emperor in Oblivion.
He was, yeah. The next release from them was Fallout 3. Tried to play that. I'm like, nah, it's not Oblivion.
I think that was the same thing with me with Skyrim, yeah.
Your relationship with Bethesda is totally different to mine then. That's really interesting.
Well, and then I rolled into Skyrim and fuck me, like Fantasy Vikings, man, this is my jam. like
get out of my head, Bethesda.
Jesus. I just played
into my pants.
Like 400 hours of Skyrim.
Yeah.
Just exploring the Skyrim world and just running to every fucking waypoint. Not fast traveling, just every fucking waypoint on foot because shit could just appear in the world. And they just played the fuck out of that. Then tried New Vegas after that. No, didn't. It was just more empty Fallout to me. Oh. Then tried Fallout 4. Once again, it was just more empty Fallout to me. And I've never gotten back to them.
Do you know what? Actually, the only reason I played Fallout 4 was because it was set in Boston, where Emma is from, and I was like, I'm going to fucking do it, Emma. I'm going to do it for the family.
Should have played Division and just left it at that, mate.
And I think
Wasn't Division set in Boston?
No, Last of Us started in Boston.
Division might have been as well. Oh, it was New York. Oh, yeah, Division was New York. And I might have done that for the same reason once I got home from Boston, because I got to go on holiday there. And yeah.
That's really interesting, Dan. Your Bethesda relationship and mine, because we're the same age and grew up on largely the same games, totally different relationship. So I started with Elder Scrolls Arena. I'm pretty busy. Listen, I'm just about to finish a half a litre of 11.1%. Elder Scrolls Arena was a game I played on either DOS or PC, but that's the first Elder Scrolls game. It looks largely like Fallout and Skyrim in terms of it being a first-person kind of RPG game. I played Fallout 1. It looked nothing like
it was top
where
down.
It landed. Yeah. Well, yeah, isometric kind of tactical.
1 and 2 were isometric, weren't they?
Yeah. Fallout.
Yeah, 1 and 2.
Fallout Brotherhood, I think, was the name of Fallout 2.
2, yeah.
I think you're. Yeah, so we're
they were
both
isometric.
Right.
3 was the first time it went first person 3D.
Yeah. And I've loved every single one of them all the way through. So it's interesting that you hated those games.
Never finished them. Never. Never finished a Fallout game. The only other one I want to bring up now is the back in the 90s there was, or early 90s onwards, there was a series that was the Gabriel Knight games. They were point and click adventure games. I started in at Gabriel Knight 3. It was Gabriel Knight The Beast Within, and it was an FMV game. Like it was photograph background.
90s to a T.
Oh yeah,
it was pushing the edge on technology at the time.
Yeah, it was. It was probably one of the very last FMV games, I would say. And then and then in Gabriel Knight 4, they went back to polygon 3D stuff that was very reminiscent of Alone in the Dark, funny enough. And I played Gabriel Knight 4. And several years ago, they remade Gabriel Knight 1 with all of the same script and the same story, just upgraded all of the graphics and everything like that. I started to play that when I busted my arm last year because I had to go back to all point and click shit because I couldn't use my right arm, so I switched my mouse to my left, and that was the only games I could play. So I was just kind of consuming everything I could that was possible for my injury at the time. I abandoned that Lemmings. Game. Yeah, well, I love Lemmings, so maybe I'll go there.
That's a fucking great game.
Yeah.
So I abandoned Gabriel Knight, Sins of the Father, it's called, the first one, for completely different reason. It is the ideology of that game is so outdated. It's so misogynistic and fucked. Like, he's such a fucking dirty, like, single-minded prick, like, in that first game, that it was actually unbearable to play. The dialogue that was coming through and how they had written that game in whatever year, it was like, it had to have been early mid-90s kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was
thinking earlier than that.
It was cringeworthy. It was like really, like, actually horribly offensive. And like, I'm 40, man. I grew up in that age. Like,
you're not an easily offended person.
I'm not a snowflake in any way, shape, or form. But it was just to that point, and and obviously we do these sort of things because we love being absorbed into the characters in the games we're playing. And to put yourself in the shoes of someone who was saying the things that he was saying to other characters in the game, it was actually unbearable. Yeah, it was like, no, I don't want to say that because that is not just morally wrong. It's just fucking horrible to the person you're saying it to. So
if it's any consolation, Dean Erickson, who played the character in the FMV footage, has distanced himself from the game considerably.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. It's a 1995. Well, The Beast Within was a 95 video.
Yeah, so that was Gabriel Knight 3.
Yeah.
Beast Within. Yeah.
95 release for Microsoft Windows, DOS, MS-DOS, classic Mac OS.
So
it was a Sierra game back when Sierra was a fucking studio.
Well, it actually was, yeah. So Sins of the Father, it might have been late 80s. It might have been the whole Space Quest time. So, yeah, it was just horribly outdated. And like the
93.
93, okay. Yeah. The graphics and the gameplay on the remaster that was on Steam, it was cool. Like I could have continued to play it and played it through, but not with the dialogue,
the
choices that were there, man. Oh, dude, it was bad. Like really, really, really bad. So anyway,
yeah,
interesting.
Well, I think we should finish up with a little round of.
Are you winning, son?
Are you winning, son?
Sorry, Tom. We stole your thunder then.
No, you did it wrong, so it's fine. I did it right.
Are you winning, Sean?
Are you winning, son?
Who's going first?
Now that
I am winning, son. I am definitely claiming myself to be the new Gwent master of the of the world.
Do you own Gwent? Do you own the game?
No. I'm still playing Witcher 3.
Oh, no, I know, but okay.
I bought the game on PlayStation at your... Yeah. I think you on the podcast talking about it.
No, I want to buy a physical... I really want to buy a physical copy of Gwent.
Physical copy would be fun. I
smoked this poor fucking merchant in some poor fucking town so badly. Like, the first round we both passed.
But there's a formula to the game where you can...
Oh, yeah.
It's not hard to annihilate everyone.
I chucked out my first 2 spy cards... because I always play Northern Realms.
Yeah.
So I chucked out my first 2 spy cards and then got my, had like 13 in my deck. And I was like, there you go, man. You can have that free round. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'll decoy and take one back. And I was like, you fucking fool. I got
double decoy.
I've got Yennefer of Vengerberg. I'm fucking taking that card back, you dumb idiot. And then, I think the final score was like because there's a trophy you have to get, which is like get a Gwent score of over 187.
Yep.
And I did it with this poor fucking bastard. And it was
There's
something
actually
stupid.
only one deck that you can realistically win that trophy using, and that's the deck you're talking about.
Yeah, the Northern Realms.
And that's,
but it was
Northern Realms, 2 decoys, the Yennefer card. There's a whole series of cards that you must
it was
get in order
all
to
about the
stealing the cards and build and getting the extra
catapults.
cards.
The catapults alone had like 160 points or something, and then I had like Vesemir and Vernon Roach up the front being like, yeah, whatever. Oh, that's fine. You guys can just live there. And yeah, like I just wish that like they gave certain character, like if you beat a certain character by like a certain amount, like because he focused on because I had 2 archers, then I had 2 catapult, I had all catapults, and then I used my the commander's horns to double my score. And he was a monsters deck, so everything he had was in the close combat range.
Yeah, up front.
And I fucking hit him with a biting frost right at the last minute. The score was
Just
like
artillery the motherfucker down.
Yeah, the score was something along the lines of like 190 to 11. And I just remember just laughing at him, and I was like, that's an NPC. They can't feel crushing defeat. But in my mind,
they could.
in my mind, that fucker definitely went and hung himself after that, as he should have.
Wow.
That's how much I destroyed him.
Yeah.
So yes, I am winning, son.
Took his
because
house. Took
I
his
am the
firstborn.
Gwent master of the known world. But no, I've just finished all the missions with Triss, so I'm still in the Velen Novigrad stage. Just got Dandelion back. And
Dandelion.
Yes, and then.
So I'm going to interject here with a little bit of nerdy Witcher 2, Witcher 3 thing. Did you guys ever? I know you can get or Triss has it, or somewhere in there that's a rose that's called Forget Me Not.
Yes, because you pick it up in Triss's apartment.
It's
Yes,
been
okay.
like 3-4
And he
years
makes a
since
comment
I've
about
played,
it.
So
He's like, "Oh, you kept the flower. Or you kept
Yes.
the rose."
Okay. Yeah. There's this massive scene in Witcher 2 that revolves around the Forget Me Not. So the Forget Me Not only grows, it's an elven rose and only
Sure,
grows
you
in an
talked about
elven
this.
garden. Yeah, it's crazy. It's the
But isn't that all to do? Is that all to do with? Because he keeps referencing the amnesia he has.
yes. So
you hang on. You get the Forget Me Not in a cutscene in a dream, or is that? Yeah. Anyway, it's either in the movie, in the TV series rather, or it's in the game. I can't remember which. But there is a cutscene with the elves where I'm sure it's a dream. You're asleep and you collect the flower. Tom, is this ringing any bells? I know
No,
Dan's
Witcher-
played it
no,
11
no.
times, but no.
No,
Maybe
Witcher
I'm
3.
just imagining.
No, maybe that's something you've.
Maybe
you've
it's my
seen-
fever dreams. Who knows?
Well, no, or it's something you've seen from the YouTube,
the trailer for season
YouTubing stuff. And
3 of maybe.
dude, I've got to say the sexiest way a lady could ever take off clothes, Triss does that in that cutscene when you give her the Forget Me Not in Witcher 2. Oh boy, it's just just magic from fucking toe to tail. Yep, crazy.
Actually, though, with this playthrough, because I've literally we just did the last missions of Triss. I've just got him on the boat, and it's very funny playing Witcher 3 now after having like enveloped the Witcher series into my brain, and having what's his name who plays Dijkstra in the show, McTavish, the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
But then you get Dijkstra in the game, and he's like, "You are fucking C-bomb, get
He's
up."
Northern English, yeah.
Yeah. But you want him to have this thick Scottish accent, and and then you get that with Zoltan. But it's Gwent time. It's Gwent time, baby.
You are winning.
The only other trophy I have to get for that, besides all the Death March playthrough one, is I missed one of the horse races in my first playthrough.
Yes.
And there is the
do
Fast
remember
and the Furious horse race trophy, which always makes me giggle.
I do remember stressing about getting those trophies, and yet they were relatively.
I never did the horse race, the like Novigrad Underworld horse race, which is the notoriously difficult one.
You know, when you read through I know Dan won't relate, but Tom will. You know, you read through a trophy list and you go, that's the one that's going to fuck me up. That I'm stressing, not so much stressing. I need to be mindful of that one. That was the one that I thought would be the issue.
One chance to do some of those.
That's the one that I thought would be an issue for Witcher 3, and I didn't just get the trophy. There was never any challenge.
Yeah,
Horizon 2 was the same, right? Horizon 2, you had to do the racing. The racing quest, and I thought that would fuck me up. I left that towards the end because I thought that would fuck me up. I was stressed about it, and it was a piece of piss.
Yeah. So that's me. I'm still happily slogging through Witcher 3 again, and I
still need to do the DLC.
Yes, you do. They are very, very good DLCs. Peter,
the last DLC. No, it's Dan's turn.
Oh, okay. Well, Dan, are you winning, son?
Yeah, although I'm still rolling through the Dungeon of Nahulabek, the turn-based combat D&D, like 7 people in your party, kind of thing, and it's fantastic. It's still funny as hell. The banter between the fucking dwarf and the elf constantly go, and they fucking hate each other, and it's just she is just this airhead, and he's just a fucking dense as a rock. And it's just great little fucking banter between the two. The wizard.
It's amazing that you found two ways of saying the same thing that are opposite ends of the spectrum, because it's so perfect for elves versus dwarves.
Oh, 100%.
They're both dumb, but one's dense as a rock and the other's an airhead.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they are.
Such a perfect juxtaposition.
The lines that they write and the way they interact with each other, and I cannot for the life of me remember any of the dialogue that goes, but I fucking laugh audibly when they have a go at each other. And it can be random too. Like, it's not scripted stuff. You can just be running along to your next little destination, and these two can be fucking going off at each other in the fucking background kind of thing. It's like, it's hilarious. The wizard, the female wizard, is the only one that can speak Orcish, and she's the only one that can understand the Orc. So he talks, and then she translates to everybody else. The fucking ranger is just this, he's more of a bard of the group. Like, he's this charismatic kind of...
I'm totally going to play this game.
Oh,
I've earmarked it.
And the barbarian is still Conan. Like, when you hit the M button to bring up the map, someone will make a comment. Like, it doesn't matter. Like it can be one of the characters, but the dwarf says, the dwarves carve their maps in stone because it lasts longer, or something like that. It's something comical. And then the barbarian will pipe up and he goes, Crom doesn't need a map. And it just carries on like that. And like, it's this funny, witty little banter. And it's like, I still cannot believe people said they got sick of it, because I think I'm halfway through the levels that are on it's the Dungeon of Nahulabek, so it's all set within this dungeon, and there's multiple levels. So there's 6 levels. So you start on level 1, and there's a basement, and then there's 4 more above you in the map. But I found a little extra staircase in the basement that actually took me to a level that was unmarked on the level map. So I'm not sure how many of these little side bits and pieces there are within the world, but it's well crafted within the boundaries of the story that it's trying to tell. Like, it's well written, it's well acted. You've got your big group, and you get to pick an extra member of your group. So you've got the ranger, the elf archer, the dwarf miner fighter guy, the barbarian, the orc, and the wizard. That's your core group. And then within your tutorial stage, or your tutorial level, which is the first probably 3 hours of the game, you run into the paladin, you run into the cleric priestess, and you run into the bard. And then it gets to the end of that chapter, and you have to pick one of those 3 to come with you to continue the game.
One of those 3.
And you cannot change your mind. It actually comes up with a prompt saying, whatever you pick is permanent.
Are you sure?
till you finish.
Yeah.
So you get to pick one of those 3 to go through, and their personalities are wildly different. Like the bard is dandelion on fucking crack. The cleric is this holier than thou motherfucker priestess, like just like.
And the paladin's got a fascination with shampoo.
Does she? Maybe.
Just it's all about charisma. It's like I've got to have
you're
the
talking about
perfect hair.
Well,
I thought you were making like a weird Pantene joke for a second, and I was like
no,
really
I
struggling to
thought
get
he
like
looked up
quite.
like a
or
guide
like
or
head and
something
shoulders
like that.
because he's a paladin. He's head and shoulders above
Head
the
and
rest in his
Just-
faith. I don't know.
Well,
You'll
and she-
understand in the future, Tom and Dan.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes, I get it. But she is justice. Like, and they have these conversations within the group that like she is justice. The barbarian's like, no, just fuck it, just kill it. Doesn't matter what it is, just kill it. Doesn't matter. And it's like the clash of personalities in there is great. I love it. I think it's fun. It's fantastic.
It's a good way to
It's
capture not just
strategic.
It sounds like a good way to capture not just the character differences, but the personality differences at a D&D table.
100%. And you have to, like, you get these bonuses. So you get support bonuses. So it kind of leans into a bit what you're saying there. So you can pick a support bonus. So if you want the dwarf and the elf to continue this love-hate relationship or be closer than that, you can have the elf get bonuses when she's next to the dwarf, and the dwarf get bonuses when he's next to the elf.
Yeah.
And the wizard with the orc. And so there's bonuses of, in my defense, you dropped out and I did continue on like a professional. Thank you very much. And
He
then
did.
we realized
I started screaming like a child.
we realized there was
I went
it
full
said at the
panic
bottom of the
mode.
screen, no, not recording. And then
And
we're like,
we're back.
oh, fuck it.
We're back. We're using a new app. We've got no idea what happened. We might have lost the whole episode. Who fucking knows? Cats and dogs living together in perfect harmony. It's just crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
I really
So that
want to play
was-
this
that
game.
was-
Dungeon
that was
of-
my-
blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, that was my little review of Dungeon of Nahulabek, the Amulet of Chaos.
Sounds like an amulet I'd wear, actually. I
Mm.
love chaos.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? You get the amulet. I know it's in the title of the game, but you get the amulet at a random point within the start, and it does some weird things. And it's really clever how they do it. Like it actually.
We need to finish this episode. We've got no idea how much footage we've got. It's all
It's gonna be a fun edit for Pete.
Yeah, it's going to be another fun yeah. So my Are You Winning Son answer is abso-fucking-lutely I am. I finished Divinity Original Sin 2.
You did it.
By throwing
the
shit at
platinum.
people.
Sorry?
By throwing
Of
shit
course,
at
we're
people.
gonna fling poo at them.
Yeah. Yeah. So I finished a one run and done platinum, except I made a mistake in character generation that I didn't realize until 3/4 of the way through the game. And that
You
is
said that. What is the? Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Explain.
so you can either spawn a character and then go and recruit up to 3 other characters at the start of the game, or you can play lone wolf and either play as 1 or 2 characters, or you can use a second controller to customize a second character during character gen. Dan,
Okay. Yeah.
So if you were playing multiplayer, you'd have 2 main characters, both creating a customized character who could then each recruit a second character for 4,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or as a single player, you could create 1 character, or you could cheat and create a second character with a second controller and play for 4. In my playthrough, there's a trophy called I can't remember what it's called, but you basically have to convince the NPC player that you should elevate yourself to become the divine. And whether or not you're capable of convincing that character is based on choices that you make, and whether or not they agree with those choices throughout the rest of the game. I made the mistake when right at the start, to use my second controller to customize the second character, and I was playing a 2 lone wolf character playthrough, and I didn't realize that because I'd used the controller to customize that character instead of recruit her, she was never going to be an NPC, so she could never agree with me because the game treated her as another human.
Okay.
Right.
And that trophy pops 3/4 of the way through the game.
So you were stymied by your own...
Hoisted by your own petard.
Yeah, okay, that's a
I
better
don't know
way
what
to
that
put
means,
it.
but yes.
Yeah, definitely hoisted by your own
Definitely.
petard. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So I played through the entire game. I got every trophy that I didn't already have because you and I had played half of the game in a honor mode playthrough, which means and this is what I was going to cut you off and say earlier, but I stopped myself and went and took a leak instead. This is the permadeath where you only get one save game, and I mean one. If you quick save, I didn't realize this until halfway through. If you quick save, you're actually saving over your core save game. There is no separation between save the game and quick save. It's one file. If one of your characters dies, it automatically saves over the top of your save file. So you can't load to before the combat started and try again. It's just, if that character dies, you have to resurrect that person no matter what you do. Now, a normal playthrough, you'd have 4 characters. I played with 2 characters, meaning one person dies, it saves the fucking game, and the other person who survives either resurrects them or prevails, or it's a complete party wipe. And if the party wipes, it deletes your save file. There was about 20 points in the game, 20 specific boss fights I knew were coming up. You could tell because it's pretty obvious when you're going to face a boss.
It's the music change, isn't it?
No, it's more the story change, you smartass. I played the original Fairy Tale Amiga game. That was a game where you knew the bad guys were attacking because it would actually start loading from the disc before the music changed. That was how you knew. No, you just knew from the narrative. But
Yeah.
I would quit the game and cloud save, knowing that if I permadeathed, I could still load from the cloud save file.
Yeah, so we're cheesing it.
It's not quite cheesing. It's just you can work around permadeath.
Cheesing it.
You can work around permadeath.
Cheesing it.
I lived with that constant threat. At no point in the game did both characters die. But I did have a couple of combats where one character died, I resurrected them, I shat myself, and the game was actually more enjoyable as a result. The threat was fun, even though it was fucking annoying. It took me maybe 120 to 150 hours to finish the game, top to tail, to hit every trophy other than the one I fucked up. And then I watched a couple of speedrun. I watched 5 or 6 speedrun YouTube videos where people had finished the game in 19 minutes or 13 minutes, I think is the world record, somewhere in the 13-minute range on PC. But those 13-minute runs use wall hacks and every exploit the game has left in it.
Yeah.
The wall hacks don't work on PlayStation. So you ain't got that choice. But I managed to finish a second run through to the 3/4 point to get that last trophy I said an hour. It's probably more like 90 minutes. It's 30 minutes of me figuring out what I could get away with without... And I didn't want to break the game, and I couldn't find a way to break the game anyway. But it was about 30 minutes of fucking around and then an hour of actually playing the game. So from 150 hours to 90 minutes to do a second run through to get the platinum trophy.
Yeah, but I mean, I think finishing a game that's meant to be played in 100 hours, or not even 100 hours.
In an hour.
In an hour is breaking the game.
True. I didn't read a single word of dialogue. I skipped through everything that I could. I made a mistake skipping through dialogue a couple of times that ended up in combat that I knew I shouldn't be in. Like, why am I fighting this guy? What happened? It's because I hit next, finish, and I shouldn't have hit
Yeah,
that
you
final
should
next.
have picked it. Yeah.
Yeah. But there was one point in the game in Act 2, which you and I have played through. We never got to Blood Moon Isle together.
Mm.
But where Johan was standing, who's the demon hunter, you can actually
the
stand on
first
that
game.
beach. Yeah. You can actually stand on that. No, second game.
Yeah, but Jahan he was one of the characters in the first game.
He was. But he's in Act 2 of the
Yeah.
second game, and you and I met him in our playthrough of the second game. You can actually stand on his beach and throw the pyramid in the water. And if you have Telekinesis 3, you can actually pick it up from the water and throw it to the island and skip all of the bullshit that involves you getting to the island legitimately. You just throw the pyramid there and then use your own pyramid to instantly teleport there, and you're on the island. So there's game-breaking exploits like that I did take advantage of, yes. But fucked if I was going to spend another 150 hours playing the game a second time through.
I just looked it up. The speedrun record for any percentage finish for Witcher 3 is 1 hour and 52 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
It's just fucking insane.
Yeah. These guys perfect like the most small motion to shave seconds off their time to hit the world record. I'm glad I played the game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a brilliant game. The honor mode playthrough, even with the shadow looming of permadeath all the way through the game, thoroughly enjoyable narrative, smart, like wittily written, lots of good humor in it. I'm glad I got that. And now I'm playing Tiny Tina's
Borderlands. Yeah, Borderlands.
I've never played a Borderlands
D&D.
game. Never played a Borderlands game. And Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is the perfect transition from Divinity 2, or Divinity Original Sin 2, which is hardcore, original RPG style. It's a full implementation of the original D&D rules. Into kind of first-person shooter, D&D-esque. Very well written.
Let's say D&D thing.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say D&D.
very well written. In terms of the piss take of D&D, bunkers and badasses, it's fucking well written. Very witty.
The only thing that puts me off about the Borderlands games, and I mean this goes back to the games that we've never finished, is I've never finished a Borderlands game. I've played them all, never finished one of them. Never gotten more than like 3 hours into one of them. It's just the repetitive nature of them. Like Borderlands 3, I think it is. You get like
Borderlands 3 is still in the shrink wrap on my shelf.
You get to like the third mission and you clear out this whole area. You come back out to go back to the dude that fucking gave it to you, and he goes, "Oh no, you know what now? Like there's this consciousness stuck in this fucking VR simulation that you need to go and retrieve." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool. No worries. That sounds like something fun, like a fucking Mad
All the
Max
enemies
esque."
spawn as if you'd never been there.
And it's just a filter over the area that you just went through, and you just have to go back through it with fucking like slightly different enemies in the same spaces. And are you serious? Like, this is the laziest fucking gameplay that anybody's ever made.
So Tiny Tina's similar in what you're describing, in the sense that, like, if you clear a zone in a large map, that zone will stay clear. Those bad guys will stay dead as long as you're on the map. But you have an option, you unlock an option to be able to zone back to like the main hub city to sell your shit. And it drops a portal wherever you were. And you can instantly zone back. So you drop back to town, sell your shit because your inventory's full, come back to the dungeon you're in the middle of. What it doesn't tell you is every creature that you've killed has now respawned. And it's leveled to whatever your level is. So you might have killed them at level 11, but if you're now 14 because you've progressed through the dungeon, all those basic mobs at the start of the dungeon are now level 14 or 15.
Yeah, but that's always been Borderlands.
I find that frustrating.
Frustrating and lazy, which is why I've never finished one, because every time I play one, I hope, come on, they've got to scrap this fucking old, useless, lazy piece of shit.
They've literally just
It's a looter
replicated the game
shooter.
four times. With bazillions of guns, because they're all procedurally.
But I'm
generated,
enjoying
whatever
it.
was.
I'm thoroughly enjoying.
I loved
Tiny
Borderlands 1.
Tinas.
I smashed through Borderlands 1. I finished that one. I finished Borderlands 2. Borderlands pre-sequel was probably the roughest one for me, and I've still, despite getting it on the day it launched, I still haven't played Borderlands 3 or Tiny Tinas. But yeah.
Fair enough. I
Is
think
that us?
I think that's
that's
us. Who
I
knows
need
how
to
much
take a
footage
very,
we've actually
very
got?
whiny boy out for a walk.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, I said the W word. You can look
Oh,
at me.
poor thing. I'm dying, Daddy. Please.
He's not dying. He's just coming down from his weed treats. Coming up, I guess. Fucking stoner.
All right. Well, that's going to do us for this episode. Hopefully, it actually makes it out and onto the airwaves. Who knows? It's a crapshoot with this new app.
Maybe
Thank you for
become
listening.
one of
If you
the
have.
Lost Boy episodes. Forgotten. Lost Boys.
Yeah, we still got that one forgotten one in the banks there, Peter.
It's somewhere on my NAS, yeah. From 2016 when we started. Yeah, no, that'll never be released. We were slurring from the start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
not-
only thinking that maybe we should get together for a Sunday or a Friday night or something and just record 2 back to back.
Yeah, that was the one time we tried the back-to-back episode recording and we were trashed for the second one. It was a bad idea. We didn't think that through. Anyway.
I think the 3 of us could pull it off, though.
I think you two might be able to.
I'm 100% sober.
I'd be asleep.
Drive a car
I'd
right
be
now.
under the table.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. By 12.5%, I'm still pretty good.
Yeah,
Yep.
no, I'd be snoring. You'd be able to hear me snoring.
It's the stand on one leg, yeah, with a finger on the nose and everything. Yep. Anyway,
Thank you
very much for listening. Oh, who's finishing? Is it you? Is it me? It's so cute.
I always
Go on,
prefer it
Pete,
when
go
you
on,
finish
do it.
first.
I do finish first. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. My name's Tom. I'm gonna go walk my dog. Goodbye.
Good night.
Sorry, I need that.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.